like breaking, we are taking, this is our time. Just breathe, this will be a hard fight. The truth cash out in the night.
This thing is acting really weird. Hold on just a second. There we go.
There we go.
We just had a thunderstorm. Yeah, we just had a thunderstorm go out, and I literally had a power, one of those quick flickers, and dude, it shut most of the stuff down. I had to run. I had to get this and that. Bad
Yeah.
storm outside.
Well, I put up an avatar myself, hopefully to maybe not eat up so much bandwidth. I don't know. I don't know if that'll help or not, but we will see.
No, I think last week it was definitely an issue on his end. Absolutely, because
Oh yeah.
you were coming across really good, and everybody was saying I was sounding good, but every time he spoke, it was just really bad, really bad. But
Yeah, unfortunately, this stuff doesn't work during storms, but I just got some rain. I'm hoping it'll hold off, but we will see how it goes, I guess.
yeah,
So
we
how
got a
you
few
been
people
feeling?
in. Well, I didn't. Did I tell you what happened to me last Saturday?
Last thing I remember is you were, I know you had to go to the doctor. You're having heart problems.
Well, I was having a heart issue. Um, and then last Saturday I was watching a podcast. I was in the chat room. It was Dirt Road. It was his podcast, and we're having a good time and everything. And then I got feeling really bad, and I've been dealing with this other issue, and it just took a toll on me. And I literally typed, "I'm heading to the ER." Got up, got dressed at 11 o'clock at night. I was on my way to the ER. And what had happened was 2 weeks ago when I was out in the field doing some research, uh, a bug or something flew in the back of my shirt. And I started doing one of these numbers, trying to shake it out, and it bit me. So I don't know exactly what it was. Could have been a spider. I thought it was maybe a wasp or a bee or something had flown down my shirt. But I didn't do anything for 2 weeks, and this thing got really bad, really bad. So I had to go in, and they had to cut it open and clean it out. And they said there was actually some dead tissue, and they had to clean that. And they put me
Good
on some
Lord.
really, it was bad. They said if I had waited another week, I would have been in really bad shape because it probably would have hit my bloodstream. But they got me on some
They didn't know what
really
it was.
strong. No, I can't tell what it was unless I killed the bug and saw the bug. But they had me on some
No.
pretty heavy antibiotics, and I'm on the last couple of days of it. So Monday would be the last day. So, but feeling a whole lot better, whole lot better. Feeling
Yeah,
great.
man, that's the bad part about running around in the woods in Florida.
Well, I've always concerned about Lyme disease or something like that, but I never get ticks on me, never. Or if I
Dude, I'm
do,
covered in ticks, constantly
yeah,
covered in ticks. I have
I
no idea how I haven't gotten Lyme disease.
they're bad in Ocala, but when you come down here, never. I mean, I can go up there or something, and I've been to other areas and I got maybe one tick, but here, none, none. So that was always my biggest concern. I've been bit by spiders. I got bit by one in the Philippines that really jacked up my arm for a little while. About no, maybe 6 years ago, I got one on the back of the leg that really got bad, but nothing like this on my back. Nothing. I mean, it was pretty bad. So, but they got me
Well,
cleaned
I'm
up.
glad they got you good.
Yep. So let me say hi to a few people. We got Sharon. I think I saw Risto in there. We got Henry. We got Nana Anna. We got Sunshine. Hey, Sunshine. Um,
What's up, everybody? And
we
just so
love it.
everybody knows, while we're going through the interviews and you guys say hey and everything, like I'll wave every once in a while, but I don't want to stop the guest. But just
Yeah,
know that we do see those hellos and just assume that we're helloing back. But
yeah.
I don't want to stop our guest in the
And
middle,
we
but we
actually
appreciate you being here.
exactly. And we do try to get to all your questions. We really do. But if the conversation is going and it's rolling and it's really good, sometimes we miss them. You know what I mean? But tonight we're gonna have a dirt roads in the house. You know, that's my boy. But tonight we got a fantastic guest, man. I've been looking forward to this for so long. I was really disappointed when he canceled out last time because he had to. I think something about flying to the moon or something. I don't remember. But
Oh, he's an astronaut on top of
yeah.
everything else.
Well,
Man, that's
they
great.
say if you go into low Earth orbit for 2 minutes, you're considered an astronaut. So,
No, yeah, apparently so.
so I'm a gynecologist. So, anyways, I'm glad he immediately was like, dude, I want to come on, reschedule me and all that. So here we are. I've been looking forward to it. I did make a boo boo today because I put everything out at 7 o'clock out of habit, but I knew, and there was a conversation that it was supposed to be at 7:30, and I just brain farted. So I had to go back and repost everything. So hopefully we got everybody here and we're gonna have a good time tonight. So I want to say something. I posted it in there. Other than politics and religion, there is nothing off base. Steve will answer everything, but know this: he's going to be honest. Okay, if you like or dislike, he's honest, and he's going to tell you like it is. And he's got a ton of experience in this field, not only as a researcher, but he's a TV personality. You'll see him on it. You'll recognize him. He's been on many shows. I'll let him tell those. He's an author. He's wrote I think it's 7 books. He's written a lot of books, and I've purchased one. I showed it to you guys on the show last week or the week before last when I got it in the mail, and I'll put that posting up in a little bit on the book that I got. Really been looking forward to this guy. Really been looking forward. So let's get him on here. Hey, Steve.
Hello, mucho que pesto.
Mr. Kulls.
What's going on, gentlemen?
Not
Jonathan
much,
Two
man.
Bears, good to meet you. Good to meet you. Finally.
Yeah, you too. Glad to have you on. Richard's been excited about this one. I have too.
We are going to have a ball tonight.
Where are you,
yeah.
real quick, where are you at? What state are you in?
State of confusion. No, I'm in the state of New York.
Oh, okay.
North of Albany. So we're the real upstate New York. We're not, like Middletown, which is, 125 miles south of here. That's not upstate New York. That's
You're in
that's
the
a big,
actual woods.
yeah. Well, actually, New York, once you get out of New York City, about 35, 40 miles, woods, and then you
Yeah.
have the little splotches like Buffalo and Rochester, Syracuse, and the Albany area. But for the most part, we're all woods. In fact, we have the biggest state park in the United States, the Adirondack State Park, over 6 million acres.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I was up there one time. I was outside of a small town called Cuba, New York.
Home of Cuba cheese. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I was up there with sort of family, and there's foothills and forest up there, and I was hiking through there. It was gorgeous. It surprised me how beautiful it really was because, like Florida, when people say Florida, they think Miami Beach, the Gulf Coast, all that, Disneyland. When we think New York, we always think New York City.
Right.
We don't think the forests and the Adirondacks and the hills and stuff like that.
We actually have a section of New York called the High Peaks region, which has all these very tall mountains, 9,000 feet, 8,000 feet, 7,000 feet.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful up there, but too cold for me. Can't deal cold. Can't do it.
Yeah.
I haven't researched lately because it's just so hot. That's the only reason I can give you. It is just too hot. We had a heat index the other day of 114, and so that's what's really keeping me out of there. But I will take that over freezing temperatures any day of the week.
Well, we have a very small, really, if you want to research comfortably, which at my age, I only research during the comfortable times, which just happens to be the peak season for Sasquatch research in our area.
Yeah.
My research area, which is part of the Eastern Adirondacks, we see activity start to spin off in late July, and it goes through about mid-December. And so my favorite time of the year is obviously September, October, and the first few weeks in November, when, the temperatures will range from about 40 degrees to about 65 degrees, right in there. And you don't have to worry about bugs, or spiders for that matter, unless you got a good fire going. It's just what a beautiful area this is to research. And I've been blessed to find an area that I could actually keep going to that had activity. And now they've I believe they are used to, that's right. Peach Snapple would be fine. An area where there's activity, and that my continued usage of that area has got them kind of curious about me, and they come in a lot of times. I'm very much like the Jane Goodall method. You go in there and you announce yourself, and eventually they realize after all these years that I'm not a threat, like any other animal. And people say, well, that's very human. Like, well, I don't want to anthropomorphize it, put it into human terms, but just getting out there and going out there and getting them used to you kind of makes them a little easier to come a little bit closer. And then every once in a while, something will happen, like during the pandemic. I went up there in May just to see what was going on, and the place was packed with people because that's where everybody flooded to. And it caused a few years where there was no activity whatsoever. So.
Yeah, I think Johnny does the same thing. He's spending a lot of time in a specific area, and he's getting contact.
Yep.
Yeah, the kind of like you're saying, patience. I decided very early on that being aggressive was a waste of time because they run circles around us. So my whole goal was to be as unaggressive as I could be comfortable with. So that seems to, after years, the past 2 years, it's been really, really pretty impressive. So you're definitely on to something there, I believe.
Well, I've been researching this area since 2000. So
Wow. How did you find the area?
Well, there was this couple that had an encounter. They went off trail and something started to scream at them. And they decided, well, maybe we should go back and get out of here. And as they're leaving, the gentleman, who was pushing his wife forward, kept seeing something very dark and large move darting from tree to tree while it screamed at him about 6 or 7 more times, as he said. And he said the screams were like unlike anything he had ever heard. He had been coming up there, that same area, since he was a kid. And he was familiar with bear and other sounds that come out of those woods. He goes, I never heard anything like this. And he goes, every time it screamed, I could feel it in my chest. Well, to me, that spelled a very territorial response. When if you look at primate behavior, the only time they really get aggressive or angry is when you're invading their territory. I mean, think about you're sitting at home and a strange animal walks into your house. You're going to try to, your first ambition, your first intention is not to, kill the animal. Your first intention is just to get it out, right? Get out of here, just scat, move. That's what they're doing to us.
Well, I 100% agree. 100%.
That's almost exactly how our other main research area unfolded. So we had a guy that he reported when he was 19 years old, 2 of them came up behind him and screamed at him. And then over 30 years later, we go out to the property and it's just exactly like what you're saying. It was the territorial nature of the interaction that actually brought us out there, because it was like they definitely didn't want to leave. And that's, it was pretty extreme. So that's pretty cool.
2 of them screamed, and one of them must have been a mother-in-law squatch.
Yeah. Possible. I don't know.
I think my first encounter was a vocal encounter, and I think it was territorial. I think I had entered someplace I shouldn't have been.
Well, the amazing thing is that I have never heard or seen any aggressive behavior or attempts or howls or anything like that, other than just casual rock throwing. had several times in that area where we've had rocks thrown at us, not very aggressively. We've had a few vocals, but they're very like whoopish vocals. In fact, I got one of the clearest whoops ever a couple of years ago out of the area and we had a dozen people there that heard it, which was amazing. And we had a documentarian who was there who was filming part of his documentary who actually caught it on audio, and it was nice and crisp, and he sent it to me, and I was like shocked because it caught the conversation of what was going on beforehand and afterwards, and things I didn't even remember. But when I listened to it, you hear me actually yelling at them saying, "Hey, come on, fellas. You know who I am. I've come up here for 25 years, and I'm whistling. And then I'm like, come on, fellas, make yourself known. I'm here."
The same thing.
And then a minute and a half later, we hear, whoop.
Johnny did that to me because we had something happening at our campsite. And so we got headlamps, we got things going. I'm filming, and all I hear is Johnny to my right going, "Come on, boy, here, boy." And I'm like, what? That's the last thing I want to do is call him out in front of me. I just want him to stay at a distance so I can film him. But Johnny wants to shake hands with him.
Well, it's funny because I have one audience member, Pat, who keeps saying, "Yeah, there's Steve. He has a rock thrown at him by an 800-pound wood ape." And he sits there and laughs.
Yeah.
He goes, "I'd be halfway to the car."
Yeah, we know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I think.
No. I'm not talking about that Pat.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about my good friend Pat Collins. So.
Oh, Pat Collins.
So how did you initially get involved in all this?
There was a ad in a want. No, actually, I had a friend of mine that had read a book called Monsters of the Northwoods, and he had basically referred me to, "Hey, you got to read this book. It's about Bigfoot sightings in our backyard." And it was written by Bill Brand, Bruce Hallenbeck, and of course the Bartholomew brothers, Paul and Robert. And I know 3 of the 4 of them. Bill passed away, unfortunately, a couple of years ago. But I've known 3 of the 4 authors, and I've actually spoken to the 4th author. And I considered those 3 kind of my mentors because I got to know them. I got to work with them. I got to be in the field with them, which kind of is like a really weird dream, like a weird dream. You read this book. Here are these guys that wrote this book. And wow, this is fascinating stuff. I'm a professional investigator by trade. Let me see if what they're saying is true. And it turned out it was. And then eventually I started meeting Bill and meeting Paul and meeting Bruce. And I was like, wow, you guys, basically have been my mentors. And to spend time with them in the field and learn some of their processes. And these guys weren't investigators, nor were they necessarily forensic scientists, but they were guys who got to the heart of the story, that used common sense and knew how to parse the facts and keep the facts straight. And that was really big in my training. I had the other tools, the investigative toolbox. I had that. So, and
you're forensic based.
I'm more criminal psychology based. I am do I know the forensic side? Absolutely. Because a lot of times in my job, I was everything. Here's your case. If there's something to be collected, I would need to collect it. If there was something that needed to be preserved, I would have to preserve it. I was responsible for keeping a chain of evidence, but I'm a trained forensic interviewer and interrogator. And now those are all based on psychological models. And a lot of people think that, an interrogator is supposed to be, you did it or anything like that. It's not like that. And when I see that, I even see like documentaries where detectives are getting in people's faces, I'm sitting here going, they're never going to get a confession out of this person. And if they do, it's likely going to be a false confession. Because that's not how you conduct a good psychological professional forensic interview or interrogation. You should be listening, active listening, and let them talk, being non-accusatory, lessening the moral implications of their crimes. And what I had found too, very by coincidence, was that the psychological model behind hoaxers and hoaxing is no different than crime, because every crime is based on a bit of deception or getting over on somebody. If you think about that, what crime isn't getting over on somebody?
Right.
Well, that's what a hoax is. So the psychology of both a hoax and a crime are the same, because they violate mores. They violate, moral rationalizations. So that's how to attack it from. And that's why I've been so successful in doing that.
Yeah, and especially on very recent, because you did a show on it very recently, where you have someone who's, quote, an investigator, but omits key things,
right,
to create the narrative that they're trying to reach. And that's the same thing. To me, it's the same thing. It's not just lying, it's hoaxing.
Oh yeah, I mean, or it's bias. Don't forget, confirmation bias can lead people to do that too.
Right.
So what people fail to do in Sasquatch research is compartmentalize. They believe in Bigfoot. Okay, I believe in Bigfoot. So this guy just said he saw Bigfoot. So if you're not compartmentalized, you're apt to go in with all kinds of bias. How this guy likely saw Bigfoot, and coming from that attitude before even talking to the person. But each single case, I look at 100%. Okay, we the first thing an investigator does is determine whether or not there was a crime. So I'm going into it determining whether or not there was an incident or a possible sighting of a Sasquatch, and from there you build it outward or shut it down depending on what you find. So that initial contacts, if they stay consistent and constant and don't violate some of body language analysis, neurolinguistic analysis, or basically criminal psychology analysis, if they don't defy that, you can move on to the next step, which is actually, let's start looking around here and seeing if we can find it. I'll give you a great example of one that failed, and so miserably. And the problem is that the person provided these pictures to go along with the story. And it's one of my favorites is the Bigfoot peeper case. And I don't know if you remember that. There was this guy who posted these pictures of an alleged Bigfoot peeping in a window.
Right.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Right. And his story goes along. Well, I was sitting there, and there was a lot of coincidences. I was sitting there and my window was open. I began to smell something really odd. And then all of a sudden, here's this thing looking in my window. I was lucky enough. I had my camcorder close by my table. So I grabbed it and I started filming it. I filmed him for about, this is his story. I filmed him for about 8 minutes. Then my wife came in and she screamed and ran off. She called the sheriff's department, and I put my camera down. I ran and I grabbed my gun. And, the sheriff's department responded, but by that time it was gone. And they looked at the pictures and said, wow, that's amazing, or something like that. But I'm sorry, I lost the video in my mom, because I kept it at my mom's house and there was a fire. So the video got destroyed, but I still have these screen caps that I had covered. Now, if we take away the convenience of having a camera nearby, even let's put those two facts, or the fire that destroyed the video. If we take those two facts and just put them away, what's wrong with the story? And there was something I sat there and I go, this is glaringly wrong. And the fact is, you're going to film it for 8 minutes, but when your wife screams 8 minutes later, you're going to put your camera down and then grab your gun. Makes no sense psychologically. If you feel threatened, the first thing you're going to do is go for the weapon. Not going to go for a camera and go, okay. Right. So right then and there, I knew the guy was lying. And we see that a lot. Like you'll see one of the one of the videos. They had a Bigfoot video on Paranormal caught on camera a few years ago, and you see this little shadow behind a tree peeking around, and there's a father and a son, and he's going, "Oh, look, son, look at this. There's a Sasquatch. Look at that." Now, listen, if you have a kid with you and you have an 8-foot, 7-foot hairy beast that's 50 feet away, what's your first reaction to be? We got to get you out of here. This is my child, right? It's not going to be, oh, look at the cute Bigfoot. Right. What would you do if you saw a bear out there? You're going to be hauling it. Well, if you saw this unknown cryptid, you're going to sit there and think it's harmless, unless you know it's somebody in a costume. So, yeah.
Well, and you're right. And the funny thing is that picture you're talking about, those screenshots, they're still floating around out there. They're still,
it's still going around.
Right. You know what I mean? You can't get rid of those to get to the real stuff, because that stuff keeps muddying the water all the time. Yep. You know what I mean?
Could you imagine having 8 minutes of a Bigfoot video?
Dude,
like, how would you even?
Right.
Dude, the first thing I would do is, for the next week, every hour of that week would be about nothing but getting that video out. So the idea of having it put away somewhere and then burning down at your mom's is that's ridiculous on its face. Like, who's going to take 8 minutes of video like that and not put it out immediately?
Right. So then you start parsing the actual facts behind the whole thing. It turns out the guy was using his middle name as his first name, because his first name is associated with a very big stigma and a criminal arrest. And a few years later, part of that stigma, obviously caused more attention because he was caught working as a Santa's helper at a mall. So that even, that's no bueno there too. But if you think about it, the guy is a convicted felon. He can't have a firearm. It's illegal in the state of Colorado for a felon to possess a firearm. And most anywhere
in every state,
right. But to be fair, I didn't know if Colorado law was different from New York. I mean, in New York, if it was New York, I'd say, he wouldn't be able. But I had to go look, make sure, double check, because that's part of my job, is make sure we have all the the check boxes checked. So he wouldn't have had a firearm in the first place.
Now, on the other end of the spectrum, what has been your most memorable or convincing investigation that you went into and you're like, holy crap?
That's a good one. There've been a few, but I think the Vermont trail cam photo really shocked the hell out of me. As did the Pridgeon video as well. Because let me start with the Pridgeon video. I got that. I thought it was going to be bunk. And I actually took that from another investigator who said, well, the guy sounded kind of goofy. So you never saw the video? No, I never asked for it. That's investigation 101. Get the evidence, right? If it's about the evidence, get the evidence. And I watched it. And I was like, never, So aside from being amazed, that never prejudge anything until you actually see it, that's very important to do. Sometimes you think you're going to get great stuff, and this is more the story. You think you're going to get some good stuff, and you get stuff that's like very unconvincing and very disappointing. In this case, it was complete opposite. It was like, okay, this is not somebody in a costume. This is something we can work with. But still, the Vermont trail cam photo, because I looked at that and I'm like, yeah, this is on the ground. I knew that. But I got a scientist and I said, hey, take a look at this. I'm not asking you to say what this is in the picture or anything like that. Is this on the ground or something in front of the camera? And within a day or two, he sent me back, 3-paragraph explanation as to why this is something on the ground. And basically, it's the shadow and the parallax effect. And that's why it was on the ground. It's not something in front of the camera as like artifact. So I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. And the fact that gets overlooked so many times is that whole area has been surrounded, where that was taken was surrounded by sightings within the time period that one single shot was taken on the trail camera. And, I've heard people say, try to explain away that, well, I think this is a hoax because there would have been more trail camera pictures. No, the trail camera was set for one exposure every minute. And we're talking about technology that was bought almost 20 years ago. It's not your nice new, 2024, 2025 trail camera. This is a trail camera that was manufactured in 2007 or 2008, so you're talking almost 20-year-old technology that this was taken with.
I just bought a brand new trail cam and I spent a lot of money on it because the other ones I was having problems with, and they're just not 100% reliable because I went to not get the camera that day. I was going to pick it up the following day, but I decided to take my drone, fly it out there, and check to see if the camera was okay. See what I'm saying? I dropped that camera within 3 feet of the trail camera, or dropped my drone, and I was only probably 3 feet from the trail cam and level with it, and checked it out, even looked left and right. Everything looked good. I lifted back up, came back to where I was, and went home. Went back to look at the footage. It never picked my drone up, not one time.
Now, what brand, if I may ask, what brand are you using?
Which?
The trail camera.
The trail cam is Garda Pro.
Okay. So I use, and this is a great little, I use these bad boys right here. I use Spy Point cameras. And, as you see there, they send me, every time a video is captured, it sends me a thumbnail of the video on my phone. And this is that, because it connects to the phone telemetry. The other cool thing about this is that I can actually geolocate them on a map.
Oh, good.
From where I'm standing. So if I put in, I don't know where it is, I pull up the map and it'll tell me right where it is in relation to where I'm standing. And I've field tested these and they have worked great. And now I've just upgraded a little bit because I've gotten they each have, your battery compartment, and you have a tray of batteries you put in there, right? But now they have battery packs. So I got the battery packs from, so I just have to slip the battery pack in there. And I bought 2 for each camera, as I have 2 memory cards for each camera. That way, when you swap out, you don't have to make 2 trips. You just switch the batteries, switch the cards, go on to the next camera and do that. But one thing I do want to point out is a lot of people believe that Bigfoot can see in the infrared spectrum, and that's why they see these things. But what people don't understand is the actual infrared doesn't go off until the camera fires.
Right.
PIR.
Right.
Passive
so how can
infrared.
Right. How can they see anything if it's not there?
Yeah. And this one does this is the one I have. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yep.
I've got the green screen on. But anyways, it also has, what is it, the infrared 940 or whatever it is. It's supposed to be the one that you can't see at all or whatever. But like I said, this was daytime. My drone's right in front of it. I hovered there for at least 30 seconds before I flew it back, and it just never picked it up. I picked up deer. I had some great night shots of deer. It just never picked up that. And I was looking for it. I was like, oh, man, this is really cool. I'm going to see my drone on the trail cam. Wasn't there.
It may be a sensor.
Where did you get it?
Maybe a sensor sensitivity switch on it. That could be why it's not picking up certain things. Like my camera, I have video of field mice running around, just or bird. But some people adjust. There are sensitivity adjustments that you can make. That
there is. Yeah.
Well, so it may be a sensitivity adjustment that's just out of line.
Yeah. Because I thought for sure it would pick it up.
Bigfoot Dwarf asked, do you need Wi-Fi service? Not Wi-Fi service. All you need is a cell service. In actuality, when you buy these work off the Verizon system with SpyPoint, and they do offer a free plan. So as long as you have a phone that can connect to the 5G network, you can get your thumbnails. This will send it up to the Verizon network and to your phone.
Does it do video, Steve?
Yeah, that's what I primarily work in now. I started with pictures for about a couple of weeks, So why didn't I just try video? Because the older trail cameras, video used to burn the batteries out like that. These not so much anymore. Now you can have, 30, 40, 70 videos on them and it's not even touching the battery. So
Yeah, the
I
one
got
I
one of
have
those.
is
Go ahead, Christian.
the one I have is solar powered, and it works fantastic. I mean, it does not use any of the batteries that are installed in it because it's running strictly off of that solar panel. But if that solar panel, clouded air, whatever fails, it's still running on battery power. But I don't do the Wi-Fi because as soon as I pull up in park,
it's
I
not
have
Wi-Fi.
no service.
It's not Wi-Fi. It is. It would be the LG network or the LG LTE network or the 5G network.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi is internal.
Right. Well, I can't even make a phone call out there.
Right.
If I got in trouble out there, I'm in a lot of trouble.
Right. And in our neck of the woods, Verizon has the best overall coverage, especially like in Washington County, which is where Whitehall, New York is the Bigfoot capital. So I get pretty solid signal out there for the most part. If I put it in my research area, likely I'm not going to get anything because that particular area is not so good. But I've been to other research areas in the Adirondacks, like in Saratoga County and in Fulton County, and the Wi-Fi signal's like, so you can obviously put them up. I guess it is Wi-Fi, but you do not need necessarily a plan other than your own phone.
Right.
And you can, SpyPoint has a few of them that have different network systems. I chose Verizon because it works the best out here. And maybe somebody needs an AT&T provider or whatever. And usually you're going to pick the same service that you're using with the, which is compatible with the camera. So
I got one of those. I got one of those cellular, the 360 trail cameras, and it's an awesome camera. Like, I love how it works. The only problem was I was paying for like the best plan that they had. I think it was like $20 a month, but I needed the video. And what I didn't realize is not unlimited video. You only get I don't know how many videos per month. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to waste half of those setting it up, So that kind of dampened my efforts a little bit on that one.
Well,
so
look at it this way.
Drawing board.
But you do get, and if it's SpyPoint, they do have limited video transmission, but at least you get a thumbnail. And that's important because now I know something is on this camera that I need to look at.
Right. So you can at least check the SD card.
Right. Eventually, okay. Now I know there's a video here, there's video here, video here. Okay. Right. I'll take a trip to the camera. Let me do my hot swap. I could take that chip back now and look at this. And I actually ran these cameras for a year behind my house. And man, I had gotten Bobcat, gotten, everything and anything. And it was always fun to, it was always fun to see what new critter I could get. Like, oh my God, first time the possum showed up, first time the raccoon, there's a groundhog. Look at that. And then the field mice. So there was all kinds of things, but the fox and the bobcat were the fun times. Masquatch, any thoughts on using doorbell cameras for short time setups? No, because the damn Sasquatches keep ringing them. I would not really use a doorbell camera. I use the right equipment for the right purpose.
Right.
If you're using one of these and you get a good video on it, because you got to look at the resolution in a doorbell camera. And then you have to be nearby the hub to connect,
Yeah, you have to have Wi-Fi with those.
Yeah. It's not like I could take my doorbell camera and put it on my neighbor's door 3 doors down. It wouldn't work. Yeah. So, I would stick to these. And, you can get even these now, you can get for under $100 a piece. And even if you're not using the necessarily transmission of it, at least the free plan, you can get the thumbnails. And I think they give you like 3 or 4 videos. But you can only get them in 1080, or 720. But on these, you can actually, when you pull them off the card, you get them in full 1080. But you won't go wrong with one of these, and they're not, like I said, they're not very big. So you can, when you set them up, you set them up on the tree, and off you go. And the battery will last you almost a month in these, no problem.
Wow. So, how do you balance skepticism with open-mindedness in your investigations?
How do you balance it? Is well, first of all, I never did not believe a Sasquatch existed. I always kept an open mind to it. But I also believe that people tell lies and people tell stories for various reasons. And that's really what you need to keep in your mind to any investigation. Is people will tell stories, people will tell lies, but Sasquatch is real. And that's how you balance it. It's like, okay, am I looking at something that is real, or is this something that somebody made up? And it matters not to me when the investigation, when you compartmentalize, when you complete that investigation, if it's a hoax, great, we solved it, it's done, it's over with. We can move this one off the board and remove any question about it. But then you have ones that are kind of in the middle. I really don't know if they're, I have a propensity that they're not telling the truth, but I've seen no evidence to prove that.
Right.
So that's the one that you don't say much about those. And then you have ones that, hey, I truly believe this is an event that happened. And there's a lot of corroborative evidence to go with it. Like there was an example. I'll give you one example. There was a sighting in 2006 in Whitehall. 5 people had seen the same Sasquatch in 2 different experiences within a half hour of each other on the same trail. And there was plenty of corroborative evidence between because I actually tracked the Sasquatch where it had been and where it went off to by the tree breaks in the trees at the 5'9", 5'10", 6 foot level, right through. So there was some corroboration there. Something big had moved through there. That's all you need to say. Okay, stories all match up. Everything looks good. There's some corroborative evidence. I can do that. I believe their story. That was a Sasquatch. Put that in that case. Move on. Is it going to come back? And then came my primate behavior analysis, which is really important on the end side of this. Well, what kind of behavior was observed? Was it a home range activity? Was it a foci activity area, or was it a territorial behavior? Because guess where we want to be is at the territorial behavior. We're near there,
right?
Because that's where you're going to have that activity happen over and over again. Listen, you can sit there and have somebody see one cross the road, right? And you believe them, and you can go out and look around, look for evidence, look for tracks. But other than that, there's no sense in staking that area out.
Right.
That's chances are it was just home ranging. It was just moving from point A to point B, right? But when a person says, hey, something screamed at me, and it bluff charged me, or I tried to get out and it escorted me out, hey, guess what? The likelihood is it's protecting that area for a reason.
Right.
And that's the place to investigate. That's the place. But you want to do it non-invasively. You don't want to go right into that area where that happened. You want to kind of stay off it. Primates have one big weakness: curiosity. It didn't kill the cat. It killed the primate is what it did, right? Because if you think about it, something goes boom. It's the first thing we do. What was that?
Right.
Right. Cats, dogs, right? So primates, that's a primate thing. It's we hear something strange, we go investigate.
Right.
So if you find a territory, you go close enough to that territory, start making some noise, have them come out and investigate. That's the game plan. Remember, I was taught a long time ago that a Sasquatch always has to be in control of the situation. But us, we're smarter than them. We have to make them feel like they're in control. And that's the reason why I do that the way I do it.
Right. That's a good thought. That's a good idea right there. Yep. That you're exactly right. Yeah, because one of the things I say this comment quite a bit is, everybody should go into research and stuff like that with a level of skepticism, because skepticism creates questions, questions create answers, and that's why we're out there, is to find the answers. You know what I mean? So I've always been a big proponent of that. You know what I mean?
Well, as an investigator, as a professional investigator, especially when you, like, I'll give you a great example. When you work the insurance side of things as a private investigator, so you're not working a criminal investigation now, I'm working a private investigation per se on an insurance matter, right? You always have to check all the boxes to validate the homeowner for the damage, or, indict that homeowner that they caused the damage as an insurance scam, that they really, so, okay, I'll give you a great example, arson fires. When you go in and investigate an arson fire for an insurance company, which I have, okay, so I'm looking for all the clues, whether or not it was arson. Okay, yeah, if it's arson, here's here's where the accelerant was laid down, and geez, it's right, goes into the, it's from the ground out in the yard all the way into the front porch. And I'm giving you actually a real life example. Now I have to go talk to the homeowners and see what's going on. Were you behind in your mortgage? No. Were you having financial difficulty? No. Would you mind, giving us your bank information for your mortgage so we can confirm with them that you were having any kind of financial duress? Who was living in the house? Oh, you had another family living in the house, and tell me about that. Oh, they had a daughter living with them too, who really she was addicted to drugs. Very interesting. And they took in this boy. Really? And tell me more about this boy they took in just before the fire. Oh, what? So apparently the boy's father was murdered. Okay. Let me go talk to the sheriff's investigator about this murder. Talk to the sheriff's investigator. Oh, yes, the boy's father was murdered. Actually, he was brother and his brother's best friend that was actually indicted for the murder. And when they decided to dispose of the evidence, they put the father's body in the house and they burned the house down. This is all real stuff. This actually happened. So wait a minute. Where was the youngest boy then? Well, he was young. He's only 12 years old. So he was at the house, but they got him out of the house before they burned the house down. So I'm thinking, so really, he was probably an accomplice. He knew what was going on. It was, at the very least, he was an accomplice after the fact, because he didn't come forward to the police and tell them, hey, my brother did this, right? He was quiet. He just went off with his family. But here is this kid that's been in an arson fire twice within 45 days. I think we can clear the homeowners on this one.
Right.
So that was the, so when you go through these investigations, you have to go through the check boxes anyway, whether you believe them or not. Because if you believe them, that's only the check boxes should validate them. Right. You might find out you believe them on the point, but when you start doing the check boxes, that might shift the focus over to now I'm not quite as sure of this. Background is huge.
Right.
Just last week I exposed yet another hoax, a body hoax coming to the New York State Fair. That this guy says, he's got this page, BigfootRemains.com. And they're going to have this body at the New York State Fair. You just pay $9, you come in and see it. It's a breakthrough that area, shocking. It's going to shock science to the core.
Oh, that's a Rick Dyer playbook.
No, and in actuality, this guy did it about the same time as Rick Dyer the last time. Turns out it was an art crew or an art gallery or some artist that's behind it, and he's done this before. Probably about 10 years ago.
I remember watching that show. And that's what makes your show so interesting, is your breakdowns. Either it be a video or a photograph or whatever. You really, really, really broke it down. A prime example is the one you just did, where the guy's evidently on his back porch and it's off in the distance under the
Right.
light and stuff like that. I have that video. Somebody had sent that to me. It's in my phone. I hadn't done much with it. I looked at it and said, okay, it's interesting, but I didn't go further than that. I just kind of moved on to something else. But you did a complete breakdown on it to show, all the possibilities of why this could be a hoax.
Right.
You know,
The huge thing is we can leverage artificial intelligence, not in so much in analysis of maybe emotion or, well, even in emotion, it does very well. And it can remain objective. It can remain impartial. I've analyzed things expecting one answer for the AI to tell me something else, and it gives me the reasons why. But I looked at this film, and automatically the model engines that I use, and I use multiple engines to kind of verify one another. But they used we knew the camera type, which was huge, so it knew the exact pixels in a picture or video it would take. And which you end up doing is using the formulas and stuff that it can pull up like that to analyze the depth, the range, the distance between different things in the film based on the iPhone's pixels.
right.
And it can take the picture and break it down into pixels. And then you add that incline by using points of reference. Well, here's the base of where it was standing. Here's that. Here's that. Here's the fence, which should be 4 feet tall. Blah, boom, boom. And it looks, and then it, boom. You're obviously based on the distance from the shooter to the fence is this feet. The fence to the object, the unsub is this feet. Based on the elevation, it would be, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it's about 5'4", 5'7".
Right.
So it's like, yeah. And then from there you're going, now I'm suspicious. And then you notice the camera movement is almost exclusively to obscure where it was standing,
Right.
Avoiding where, that it was based on an elevation.
Now, a quick question on that video, because I was watching it and I had the video. So when you bought it on there, I really knew when you were talking about it, I was like, oh, it's got to be that video. Sure enough, it was. So it made a great show. But there was so much more to the video. It's a lot longer than what.
Well, yeah, that originally I looked at it and I thought, hey, this is pretty good. So this deserves a proper breakdown. I was disappointed. I was like, damn, I really had my hopes up on this one. But then you start breaking down using AI to kind of parse what was being said. And even that sounded pretty damn good. Like, wow, the whispers are very consistent. But then I ran a behavior analysis of what they were doing. And they were very calm for seeing a Bigfoot in the backyard at that time of night. And thanks to the analysis, we can confirm it was likely Kentucky, where it said it came from. But we can confirm too that it's by a nearby thoroughfare because there was sounds in there too, which it identified as being noise from an overpass, which I had suspected. And a lot of times, doing this for as many years as I have that trained ear, those trained eyes. So that's an overpass. So I said, you know what? What kind of birds are in the background of this audio? And, what are the other sounds? And it broke it down. Well, you can hear this bird, that bird, that bird, this bird. Usually this is their early morning chatter. I know that because I live in kind of a rural community. So every morning when I do get up early, sometimes I get up as early as 4 o'clock in the morning. And about 4:30, all you hear is noise outside. All the birds are yapping away. And that was going on in that video. And because it's dark out. So yeah, this has to be early morning because that's when all the birds start getting all flustered up. And then you hear this noise, which sounds like, and then of course it identified the sounds as, tires possibly from a tractor trailer or a larger vehicle going over an overpass. So this area is obviously near a thoroughfare. But the bird calls and everything will indicate, and the amount of bird call will indicate it's kind of in a rural area, but it's near an overpass. So this all remains consistent with Eastern Kentucky. Okay, wonderful. But what it does is it kind of confirms some things about the video, and it also detracts some things about the video. And of course, the biggest thing was the height.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because at first glance, it looks huge.
Right.
You know what I mean? It does. First glance, just looking at it, like, okay, this deserves some attention. But like you said, when you break it down, you start looking at the distance, the measurement of the fence, everything else.
Yeah, you realize you're standing about 30 feet away and it's about 5 feet higher than you are.
Right.
So the farther you stand away from something that's elevated, the less raised it actually looks, and it looks bigger. You know, I've always said that about people who say, oh, that Bigfoot was 11 foot tall or 10 foot tall. 10 foot tall creature is huge.
His head's touching the basketball goal.
Right. But remember when we were little kids, we always thought our parents were huge, right? So when you're coming from a perspective of looking up like that, your height estimation becomes off. And I'm really good at determining heights.
You said that because you knew my parents were dwarfs, right?
No, I did.
I'm just kidding.
Talk about the short end of the stick.
Oh, man.
So, Steve, do you do a lot of audio analysis? Have you gotten linguists involved in any of that, or how far have you gone with audio?
Well, here's the thing. With audio, we do only have one sample, really, that's long enough to break down to see if it's language or not. Right? And that would be the Sierra Sound. And you cannot determine from one sample if something is a language. So although I appreciate Scott Nelson's efforts, if you're not drawing from a 5-minute video here or a 3-minute video of something here and 3 minutes of here, and then combining all three and looking at them from a group perspective, that you scientifically cannot prove there's a language in there regardless. Because if you're only using one sample from one source, what if that source, not saying it is, but the potential, what if the source hoaxed it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you go back and go, well, of course it sounds like a language because humans, and here's a perfect argument against that. As a skeptic, if I was a skeptic, I'd be saying, well, of course Scott Nelson says the Sierra Sounds sound like language, because they are. Because us as human beings, if we chatter like a Sasquatch would, we anthropomorphize it. We chatter like a human would chatter. So therefore it would give it language-like structure, wouldn't it? So there is a great argument, against those being real by Scott Nelson's analysis too.
Right.
So looking at it from that aspect as well. So to me, although it's a good college try and I appreciate it, but from a science standpoint and even an investigator standpoint, and I think like an investigator, that also has the other pitfall of, if that's a hoax, of course it's going to have language structure to it, because humans cannot resist anthropomorphizing how a Bigfoot would talk. So it would have language structure like ours.
Right. And the reason why I asked, I've got a piece of audio that I would love you to debunk for me. And it's a piece of my audio. And I can't get it. I'm personally not good enough on Audacity to clean things up the way they could be. I know there's a lot that I'm lacking.
Johnny, send it on over. We'll keep it between you and me when I can parse from it and see what it comes out to be.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be. If it's not what I think it is, I want people to know it's not. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But I
will give you the entire report, and you can do whatever you want with it.
Okay. Okay.
That's the way. When like I say, I just want to do this as a service to people. I don't want to sit there and off-put them saying, well, geez, if I send it to Kulls, he's going to put it all over the internet. If it's wrong and make me look like a fool. No, I wouldn't do that. Somebody sends me something in confidence, it stays in confidence. Okay, let's kick it out there. And if the person says, hey, yeah, you know what, I was wrong, but hey, you know what, if you were right, if you were wrong, and you want to come on the show and talk about it and show the analysis of it, that's a good thing because it
Right.
shows how science should work. But what happens
Well,
is,
I
yeah,
think people they don't, especially researchers, but I think everybody we do it to ourselves. Everybody is you're you're already walking on thin ice because you know something exists and you want to be able to prove that. But every time you get it wrong, people are like, "Well, there you go again. It's not real." Blah blah blah. So people are so afraid of making mistakes. If if people would just allow themselves to be like, "Look, you're making an effort. If you screwed up, you misidentified something, you got something wrong, and like you said, you admit to it, just move on. But dying on a hill for something that you could just say, hey, this is a mistake or whatever else, I think a lot of people get caught up into that, and I
well,
want to know the truth. I want to know what I got,
Right.
So
what happens is people get caught up in what they call cognitive dissonance. Is they get something they found, they put a belief around it, and even in the face of unrelenting evidence, they continue to deny that evidence that debunks their claim. I'll give you a great example, and I'm not gonna. I don't want to name names to bring harm to your show, but there was this one particular gentleman that was
No,
pitching
this is
squat.
your show. You can name names.
Well, I don't know if you want me to. All right, so there was this one particular guy out of Texas who was running these paid field expeditions, and he had happened to play this audio tape. Well, this is what we caught on our last expedition. And one of the researchers there got a hold of the recording that he was passing around. And he had actually played it on a show, some of you guys might have heard, the Sasquatch Chronicles. And I got a hold of that video and did some searching. And one of my little, being in what I have, being in this business as long as I have a lot of sources and resources. And somebody said, hey, I think I know where this came from. And it came from a YouTube video, gorillasounds.com. And I actually played it side by side. It was the same call, except for in this guy's call, Garrett, his call, you could hear the background of a fan running. Like what he did was, here's the speaker to the YouTube channel, and he just put the Zoom or whatever digital devices right in front of it and hit play. Because you could hear the background of an air conditioning unit or a fan of some sort, or some sort of mechanical background going on. So then I took the waveforms and matched the waveforms of the two. So there you have it. I showed it to the host of the Sasquatch Chronicles, and he was like, oh, I don't see it. Well, that's funny. Thousands of others that have seen it said they see it, but he doesn't. Why? Because, you don't, like I said, you don't want to admit you're wrong.
Right. And that's the biggest thing is, and me and Johnny have discussed it, is so many researchers won't admit when they're wrong. And that's what, and Johnny, tell you, I've said this story 1,000 times. That's what drew me to Johnny, and me and Johnny became good friends, was because he has no problem correcting himself and coming back saying, hey guys, what I said last week or what I put out last week, I was wrong. I did a deep dive and this is what it is. He owns it. But you got so many that won't do that. And two, because it's all pride, and they double down on it. A prime example is, our up in Vermont, filmed a porcupine. Yeah, everybody saw it. We looked at it, and I had a lot of respect in the person. He's a good person. You know what I mean? But he doubled down on it, and then he tripled down on it, and it just got worse and worse and worse.
Okay.
When everybody was on it right off the bat going, dude, it's a porcupine.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a little down low on something that you probably do not know about that same person.
We're going to get into some downloads because me and you talked, and there's some interesting things about other people too.
So on
Oh,
this
Jesus.
particular gentleman, many years ago, in 2012, when I was going head to head with Rick Dyer in the second Bigfoot body hoax, he was being promoted a lot by that Bigfoot group, Facebook Find Bigfoot. And they were an anonymous two guys. We didn't know who they were. And then I had happened to find a post on Bigfoot Evidence, the Bigfoot Evidence blog, by Matt Moneymaker, outing who the two were. And that was even a few years earlier. So I put it out there saying, hey, this is who the Facebook Facebook Find Bigfoot guys are. It's this guy and this guy. And this is not my discovery. This was discovered by somebody else, but I'm just putting it out here. That's who they are. So if anybody's wondering, if it's Rick Dyer or whatever, I get an email from that guy. He said that he seemed like a nice guy. He says, you need to retract what you wrote and tell the people that you were mistaken about that. Otherwise, we have no reason to talk anymore. Really? So my response was, you actually want me to lie to the public? And his response was, yes, for your immoral deed. So that shows how nice of a guy that guy is, right? He wanted me to lie to the public.
I'm confused here. He was actually one of the guys in Facebook Finds Bigfoot.
He considered them friends because he was in the process of writing a book using them as resources for trying to actually say Dyer's dead Bigfoot body this time was real. And he actually did write a book saying that Rick Dyer's second Bigfoot body was real. But he was doing a lot of talking to these two guys. And one of these guys of Facebook Find Bigfoot was already publicly known because he had appeared on Coast to Coast talking about HARP, the conspiracy theory, government weather control system, right? So one of the guys was already been on Coast to Coast of the two. The other guy is a swim school owner, a big swim school owner. And they had this fascination with Bigfoot, and they had this Facebook Find Bigfoot group which basically put every picture out there that was made of Bigfoot and said how real it was, when really some of them were hoaxes, including admitted hoaxes. But I think they were just naive. In reality, I don't believe there was anything nefarious on their part. I think they were just naive. But the fact that I had said who they were, he got so mad at me. He wanted me to lie to the public and say that I was mistaken about it. No. The Squatch Detective does not lie for anybody. He didn't lie in 2008 when he was told to cover up a Bigfoot body hoax under the guise of having a nice payday. I didn't do it then, and I won't do it for some guy because his feelings are hurt.
Let me jump in real quick here. Hey, the OG in the chat room, kind of chill, okay? Come on, brother. Just chill. No more negative comments.
What's he saying? I can't see it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's actually right about the guy, though.
Well, he is, but I don't want to go that.
I mean, when he says, he opens up by saying, Steve, you and I are two of the most important Bigfoot researchers in the Northeast. That's mighty presumptuous of him, right? Even though he's throwing my name in it. What I saw was arrogance. What I saw was he felt he had the moral superiority, asking somebody to do an immoral act, basically trying to say what I did was an immoral act, which was just repeating what was said, information that was already out there. And then he comes up with the porcupine video, which he doubles downs on and triples downs on all the time.
Yeah.
What is that time? That to me, that says that the guy is The number one psychological problem he has is what they call illusionary superiority. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he may have a degree or even a PhD in philosophy, but that does not make him a photography expert nor a wildlife expert.
Right. Right. So what was, let's say what was the weirdest or funniest Bigfoot related story that you've had to cover? That you just thought this is the funniest thing. Like, for example, Brian King Sharp had a guy on his show. If you don't ever watch it, and I advise anybody go check this video out about the guy that had sex with Bigfoot. It is unbelievably entertaining. It really is an entertaining interview. Of course, it's full of crap, but it's definitely entertaining. Have you had anything that's just you shake your head like, wow, that was crazy. That was just wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I did have one guy who called me up out of the blue who said he was a CB that had, knows that there's like these assassination squads for Sasquatch. And I let him ramble on for about 45 minutes, and then he got tired of talking and said, all right, well, I'll talk to you sometime soon. All right. Said he was a sniper for the CBs, which CBs don't have snipers.
They don't have snipers.
No. And so I knew he was full of baloney from the start. But eventually he ended up jumping the shark, which a lot of hoaxers do. And he sent me a picture. He says, we finally got the trail cam picture we were looking for. And he sent me a screen cap of a viral video that had gone down in Olympia, Washington at the time, which turned out to be a hoax of itself anyway. And the minute I saw that, I go, that was from Olympia, Washington. He's trying to claim this as his own. So he just outed himself, as a hoaxer. So I called him up on film, on video, and said, hey, can you tell me why you're sending me this picture from Olympia, Washington? What do you mean? I go, you know what? You got to get up pretty early in the morning to fool a Squatch detective. Have a nice day. I'm done with this. And that was it. Last I ever heard of him. But yeah, that was probably the funniest one I've ever dealt with. It was like, I looked at one, got him.
Right.
Without even having to do anything.
Right.
Yeah, the guy was just a minor inconvenience at the time, just rambling on about all these, the special Marine assassin squad going out and killing Sasquatches. No reason why. Just kill them.
Right. What now you spent a lot of time up there in the Adirondacks.
Yep.
What is the best evidence that you found in your research, your personal research? What are some of the great things that you have found?
Well, in 2006, probably one of the best forensically things that I can claim. In 2006, I was out in the state park on November 16th, and it was a cool, but it wasn't cold at the time. It was probably in the high 40s, low 50s. It wasn't bad, it wasn't awful, but it was windy that night, and the wind started to die down a bit, and we were starting to do some calls and some knocks. And all of a sudden we heard something moving from our 7 o'clock to our 11 o'clock. Like just this big movement of brush, like something walking by people. And then it hit us, this stench. Boom. Now, in my youth, I was a paramedic from 1989. I was an EMT. In 1992, I became a paramedic. And I did that until in I think I expired in 98. From that point, I was used to smelling death. I knew what death smelled like. I've been in houses where bodies have been there for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And this was worse than that. And it wasn't quite that, but a little similar, but not quite. It smelled like death, skunk, wet dog, musk, all rolled into one. It was like, whoa. And I all of a sudden my eyes just got like, this is what they're talking about. This has got to be the smell they're talking about. I've been in research at that point 7 years. This is the smell I've been hearing about for the last 7 years. And we hear it walking. So then we start going back down the trail looking for tracks, and we find a trackway. So I cast one of the prints that night, come back the next morning, find a trackway. We actually casted the best one of the group, because the rest were in leaves, so you really couldn't cast in there without a lot of trouble. And we tracked it for about 100 yards back down into the, backtracked it, I should say, into the wood line, because once it broke into the brush, it was really hard to see, or find, because the road was, the dirt road was probably within, 50 yards of that. So, but we wanted to see the source where it came from. And we went down this hill, and the strides were huge. The strides were like easily 3 foot, 3.5 foot strides going uphill. I'm talking at a incline of about that steep, and they were still 3.5 foot wide. In fact, it took my 6.5 foot tape, took 3 steps and 6.5 feet. Actually 2 steps, 1, 2. So you're talking at least 3.5 foot, 3.25 foot steps going at a steep grade going uphill. And we eventually lost that track when it went down to a stream. Or I should say, lost the trackway. A year and a half later, not to my knowledge, because I didn't actually see it until 2 years after he cast it. My buddy Frank, he's like, "Hey, Steve, you see the cast I got up at, blah, blah, blah." And it was within a mile of where I had cast mine a year and a half afterwards. It was the same damn footprint.
Oh, wow.
Same toe anomaly, same callus on the footprint. When you look at these tracks, there's 3 measurements you always look at the tracks: the heel toe, heel width, and the toe splay. And 2 of those numbers in a similar track should be the same. Your heel width, your heel toe should be the same. Your heel width should be the same. But your toe splay in each track and a trackway should be different. Some should be bigger, some should be smaller, some should be a little bit in between, right? Reason being, as a bare foot hits the substrate, the softer the substrate, the more substance gets under those toes and pushes them apart. That is how we determine whether something is biological or somebody with a stamper or, basically, stompers on their feet, because the toe splays never changed. And the toe splays were different. Heel width were the heel width was the same, and the toe heel were the same, but the toe splay was different. And his toes were clearer than mine, and they happened to be a little bit wider than mine. So to me, that's like one of the best pieces of forensic evidence that I can say it had occurred in my tenure so far. And by any means, that's something science can't argue with.
Right. Just
So.
reading the chat. Florida Seminole said the same thing we did. Yeah, I'm a Navy veteran, and I'm actually, a lot of people don't know this, I'm an identical twin, and he was in the Seabees, and so we had, and he's retired. He actually spent 22 years, 10 of it in the Navy, and then 10 of it in the Marine Corps.
Well, thank you for your service, both of you.
Oh no, we appreciate it. So he was talking about the sniper thing. Yeah, there's no snipers in the Seabees. They do qualify on weapons, though. They do carry weapons, but not snipers.
Right. Yeah.
Because they are not alone. There is going to be a detachment of Marines or somebody with them that can handle that stuff. So
that's real quick, Richard. That's for
man.
anybody out there who wants to come up with military stories and Sasquatch. Just know this, because when you guys brought up Sasquatch Chronicles, they had a guy on there that talked about being stationed somewhere and being involved in the shooting of one of them. And here's the thing that people don't understand: when somebody's been in the military, you can tell within just a few minutes the terminology that's used, just even basic little things that military personnel know very well. So you got people that try to lie about things, and it's just super obvious, like saying that you're going to give a a lance corporal a rifle and let him go hunt something unknown for the Marine Corps at a campground on base. That's never going to happen.
No.
You know, there's never going to be a time where they're just going to give I don't care how good of a shot you are. They're not going to give you a 308 to go out on your own to go shoot an unknown primate at a campground that's on base. It's just absolute insanity. So just putting that out there for people who want to make up stories about being in the military and doing stuff like that. You're not getting away with anything.
Oh
Well,
no,
at all.
and it's happened many times where me and Johnny, it's happened to both of us. We'll watch a show or watch somebody, and they'll bring up a military thing. Our ears pick up. We start paying attention to what they're saying if they have a military background, and like you said, it's real quick to figure out if they're telling the truth or not.
One of my funniest things that I always hear about is, well, I was in the National Guard or I was in the Army during the time Mount St. Helens erupted and we took out the pile of Sasquatch bodies. And, truthfully, the amount of ridiculousness to that statement, because anything that was anywhere near Mount St. Helens was basically obliterated. There wouldn't have been bodies. There would have been bones because they would have been burned up by the heat and the heat of the pyroclastic flows that came down upon them. But it's funny. All these people that show up on these shows that say they were there as the military with these bodies always tend to be anonymous, can't provide their DD-214s. And we actually had a guy on our show who was part of the Washington State National Guard during the eruption of Mount St. Helens. We didn't ask for his DD-214, but we know his name was Jay Birch. And Jay has been on our show a couple of times. And because he's a Sasquatch researcher too. And he's like, these people infuriate me that say that because we had no time during the eruption of Mount St. Helens to worry about a Bigfoot. He goes, for all intents and purposes, we were dealing with a 5 square mile area that for all intents and purposes had been nuked. There was nothing but waste and pyroclastic flows and floods and bridges being blown out. And, little villages, little towns, little farms just wiped off the map. And you think about Spirit Lake was 200 feet higher than when it was after the eruption. And they think that people were worried about getting Sasquatch bodies out there like it was some national security secret. They were worried more about the 200, 300 people, some odd people that were missing.
Yeah. So let's bring up another one. Our one of our favorite people up in Canada, because me and you had a discussion about him. And the last time we were going to have you on the show, there was a guy in the audience and he was asking questions about that particular person and stuff like that. And I told him, hey, hold off until we get Steve on the show because he has a lot of inside information on that situation.
Yeah.
But I don't see him in the chat, but I still want to bring it up because I said I would.
Certainly.
So, we already know about, what we consider he's done that was fake and that was, it just doesn't make any sense. But you go further back, because when we talked on the phone, you knew stuff from before he got into the Bigfoot portion of it. If you want
I'm sorry, who are we talking about again?
Todd Standing.
Oh, yes, Todd. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was involved in something prior to that, is what you're saying.
Well, kind of.
The creation of a movie.
Right. Well, Todd Standing came upon the Bigfoot scene, I would say about 2004. Now, I'd already been a researcher for 5 years at that point. And he put up this website. And if you look at my website under my Hall of Shame page, you'll see some screen caps from the web archive pages because all of that stuff is now gone and hidden in the nether. Not so much, though. And it had this really bad drawing of this guy talking about these 3 campers that had gone missing as they entered this mysterious land only known to the First Nations. And for those in North America, First Nations are the equivalent to Native Americans in Canada, only known to the First Nations tribes, called Sylvanic. Well, problem number one, Sylvanic is actually a Latin term. It's not a Native American or First Nations term. Sylvanic is Latin. And it was just another coincidence. Todd's mom's name was Sylvia. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but sounds pretty dang close to me anyway. But and then he had this video, which maybe was supposed to be these 3 missing people. I don't know. And it was just this girl on a video on a very bad high 8, high 8 VHS-C video camera going. And no pictures of people, just snow on the ground and some pine trees across this little brook. And there's some very innocuous tracks. You can't even make them out because everything was so white. And the film was just really badly pixelated. And she's like, oh, what do we have here? And really just like this bad overreacted, what do we have here? Type of thing. And then all of a sudden you see a tree start to shake and you hear this, and you see snow coming off the tree, and then the video cuts. Well, there was some a researcher on the Bigfoot forums at the time, because forums were really big back then, that actually uncovered the same phone number for Sylvanic.com as part of an ad in an Edmonton newspaper looking for actors and actresses to respond for a movie production. And it had the same phone number as Sylvanic.com did at the time. Because back then, 2004, hiding your who is information was verboten. You couldn't have an anonymous website at that time yet. So they didn't have those services that say, hey, we'll anonymize, these agents that would do that. So we were easily saying that, there's something really funny about this, like this hokey story. And then Todd made other comments, like he had bags full of Sasquatch hair from being in this area, which is only accessible through a small hole in a mountainside. And this is his words, not mine. And he had bags full of hair. But then again, like our video of the Bigfoot in the window, the hair was stolen in a burglary in his house.
Oh, shucks.
Right. So
Man, I hate it when that happens.
Hey, we're in here. Oh, put that camera down. Put that computer down. Look at all this hair. Let's grab it.
It was the CIA.
You know what I think it was? I think it was Borat.
Yeah.
Remember the hair scene?
Yeah.
Get him the hair.
Oh God, that movie's hilarious.
So, if you look at the beginning right there, is it no wonder we only get a squatch on this up, just the head of it? We never get the body, except that one that was running up the hill, and then we have some inside sources too, that we know the person running up the hill in the Sasquatch costume was an Edmonton firefighter who's paid to do that. There was just there was so much, but if you just look at the beginning of the existence of Todd Standing, no, he wasn't he was never anybody that had the better intentions of the Sasquatch mystery. He wasn't somebody that had an experience that just went off the rails. He always had a scheme. He always had a plan. In fact, if you looked, he had a production company called Outstanding Productions that listed the general manager as Todd Blackwell, and it was a picture of him. And he actually had a phony Facebook account with pictures of him entitled Todd Blackwell. So really, he was trying to dissociate that production company from his Bigfoot side.
Yeah, because he was trying to make something like similar to a Blair Witch Project type movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? seeing it from their point of view, and then
Right.
all of a sudden
Right.
it ends with everybody's gone.
That one video, Sylvanic video #1, which was titled. I have a copy of it. It's on my page. That's all the Blair Witch you need, and that's how Blair Witch started. A lot of people don't understand that Blair Witch started with a website, and it built into this documentary, or this not documentary, but this found footage, and that's what it was looking like. That was going to happen with the Sylvanic site at a time, and then when he was outed for that, he switched gears and went a different direction. And a lot of people think his lawsuit was to find the Sasquatch, against Canada, was to prove Sasquatch existed. If you look at the losing ruling and look at the reasoning, because I have the documents from Canada of the decision, and the fact is that number one, Todd Standing wasn't suing Canada to recognize the Sasquatch. That was incorrect. That was a misnomer. He was suing them for violation of his civil rights because he believed Sasquatch was real, and Canada would not agree to that, which is kind of ludicrous. But point number 2 was the court said, we asked you for evidence of Sasquatch, but you didn't ever enter any. You never showed us any evidence. Why do you think
so? He never gave him any of the videos he had
or the pictures. And why do you think that is? Because when you present that
pretty
evidence,
obvious.
when you present that evidence, you have to go under oath, penalty of perjury, that this stuff that you're providing the court is real. And he didn't do that with his own material.
Wow.
That's extremely telling.
Yeah.
And from an investigator, a professional investigator's point of view, if I was not in the Bigfoot community, I'd be saying the same thing. Well, it's obvious,
Well,
and what's crazy? Sorry, Richard. What's crazy about that is if his videos were real, they would be the best videos in existence, like the closest to anything anyone has of proving that Sasquatch is real, and you would know that, and that would be the first thing that he would turn in for his evidence. Would be that, because there's nobody else that's got anything better or any clearer or anything else. So that's
in the Bigfoot area. And people will say, well, apparently, Meldrum and what's his name, Survivor Man, had seen something with Todd. Well, Todd took him to an area that was an actual research area that belonged to somebody else. I forget the guy's name off the shoot because I really didn't know him very well. But he had actually started interloping into this guy's research area that was saying, hey, this is a really hot area. A lot of good sightings, a lot of good. So Todd takes him there. He doesn't take him to that great area of Sylvanic. He never mentions the area of Sylvanic on any of the Survivor Man shows. In fact, he doesn't mention Sylvanic at all anymore. Why is that? What happened to it? Did it suddenly just disappear?
Yep, it's Radium Springs all of a sudden,
right.
But
that's always been the thing with Todd is it does, and from other, like Brian, didn't Brian go out there with him?
I think so, yeah.
Oh yeah. Brian went up there and spent some time with him.
Right, and most people, they seem to come to the consensus that he's lying about the videos and everything else, but that he does actually have something going on out there. Well, is what it seems.
But the problem is that area out there has had stuff going on long before Todd Standing even got associated with it.
Right.
You know what? So he just grabbed that area off this guy that showed him the area, thinking Todd was a legitimate researcher. And then the guy even has stated in particular forums his regrets about that.
There's a lot of that going on. People so desperate that they steal other people's areas.
Oh yeah. One of the things
Mr. Duffy's got a good one too.
Yeah, I was going to put that up. Because one of the things I watched this week was the newest video that Todd Gatewood put out, and he's validating Todd Standing's videos, and I'm
Um,
like, you got to be kidding me.
Who's validating it?
Todd Gatewood, the guy that's supposed to be redoing the whole Patterson Gimlin film and stuff like that. And he put out, like I said, he put out something this week validating. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Ridiculous.
Well, you know what happens when you take a beating for so long for being associated with the Bigfoot massacre theory. Now you're trying to flock to another group. Why do all these people with ridiculous ideas, why do they all kind of flock together and fly in the same circles?
Right.
Of course, Gate would be going over there. He's
Right.
trying to say, well, I didn't use AI to enhance the PG film. I use computer algorithms. Well, what the hell is AI?
Yeah, that's Well, there's supposed to be some interesting stuff coming out with the whole Gatewood situation pretty soon.
I hope so. Because some interesting stuff came out on David Pilates, and we all got to see that.
Yeah.
That guy did, and you'll agree with me, an outstanding job on that deep dive on David Pilates.
Oh,
he did a great
yeah. He
job.
broke it down step by step and showed his inconsistencies, where he lied and such. And I've known that for several years, based upon what a group of filmmakers say. Here's the mistake Pilates made. He came into my neighborhood to do a couple of 411 pieces. Right. One of them involved the gentleman that got lost at Lily Pond in Warren County, New York, which is not 50, 60 miles from where I live. Not very far. And these filmmakers from the Catskills came up there to do a documentary just on the disappearance. Not that there was anything strange, not that there was anything there, but they wanted to do a complete deep dive of it. The good, the bad, the ugly. They came back saying, wow, these people, including the family, the police agencies, whatever, did not like Pilates at all. He did not care about the facts. He just only carried the weirdness. That when he aired the episode, he omitted some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then he covered this guy that went missing in Schuylerville, New York, that's where I go every day to get my coffee, my way to work, right? Schuylerville is 3 miles from me. And we had a politician that went on his land and went missing. Happens. Could have been a heart attack, yeah, but he was a politician that was involved in a lot of controversial things at the time. So could somebody have, offed him? Certainly possible. But there's no reason to think that an alien came down or a Bigfoot came over there and snatched him up.
Well, what was interesting was some of those cases that this guy brought up in his video, which I posted on my Facebook page if anybody wants to go watch it, because it's very interesting. Some of these cases were actually solved, bodies were found, or you know what I mean? And sometimes the people were found and they were alive. But when David Pilates puts his narrative on it, they were never found. Strange things happened and all this stuff, So those are the things that when we talk about as researchers, as people that take this subject extremely serious, and I know you do because we've had this conversation. When you have people like that, they get that notoriety. Because look at Todd Standing, 100 and something thousand subscribers. Nothing's hurting him right now. See what I'm saying? But they don't realize that they're preying on the people that will believe them. See what I'm saying? Because real researchers that can read through it and pick little things out and say, wait a minute, this isn't making sense and stuff like that. Like for me on one of Todd's is the blinking of the eye. It's just not natural. It is not natural in any way, shape, or form. You brought up a good point when we talked where you squeeze the air thing and it makes the things move, and that made a lot of sense because it does absolutely look mechanical. See what I'm saying?
And I'll tell you what, that also came from our inside source. Just as our inside source said that last picture where you see the one that looks like has the painted face almost.
Right.
was actually his father. And there's a video I put out there showing his father and the moles on the eyes that compare to the picture that's shown. And that's the reason why that one, you only see it from here to here. Right.
Well,
Because if you showed anything else, it would even more clearly show his father.
well, the thing is with Todd listens to the critics because he gets better and better at his hoaxing because he's listening to what their complaints are. And so the other ones we all kept saying, they look mechanical, they look fake, we're only seeing this much, blah, blah, blah. Well, then all of a sudden he comes up with the one that looks really human. And people are like, that's human. That's really real. It is real. It's a real person. That's why it looks real, because it's a painted face. It is real. See what I'm saying? So he's getting better at the lie. See what I'm saying? He's just getting better at it because this is what he does for a living.
Okay, so here is a very interesting parallel, is that certain serial offenders will pay attention to what the investigators or media says about them. And a serial hoaxer is another serial offender. So think of it in that terms. So yeah, that does not surprise me. Like you can't find metadata on any of Todd's stuff anymore.
No.
Why do you think he doesn't post them to newspapers? The Blinky photo, I got the metadata because he had submitted the picture in 2011 of Blinky, and the video didn't come out till 2013. Amazingly, right? He submitted the picture in 2011 to the Calgary Sun. I right-clicked and copied it, and it was the raw friggin' photograph. So they had just merely took the photograph he gave and pasted it onto their website. So all the metadata was there to see when it was took, the time it was took, you know, the camera that was used, the exposure, the f-stop, everything. And it was the picture. If you analyze the metadata, it was set for something that was being basically posed or static. It wasn't made for an action picture. It wasn't made for something that was going to move fast. Otherwise, it would have been blurred.
Right. Yeah, and then there was that account where somebody, what was the story? They went up there and somebody had looked in his truck and saw the arm, a glove, and coincide with picking up the apples.
Right. There was a YouTuber that had gone up to do an investigation with Todd, and then he found gorilla or Sasquatch gloves in the back, and he didn't want to. He wanted to confirm this, so instead of videotaping, he just let the audio run on his camera, basically. And hey, what's the story with the Sasquatch gloves? Oh, that was a gag gift by my brother-in-law. That's a strange gag gift. Oh, here's a couple of Sasquatch gloves. Oh, that's really funny. Now,
yeah, because all of a sudden there's a video of an arm reaching up and picking up an apple. And that's all
Correct.
You get is the arm.
And that was the arm grabbing the apple was Todd's ex-wife. And she was convinced to do that because Todd told her he was trying to see if it looked real or not. And she did it. Now, whether or not it's true or not, I don't know. Sometimes people that do things after the fact will try to lessen the moral implication for what they've done.
Is that coming directly from her?
I cannot confirm nor deny that.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah. And just so the audience knows, this is why we have Steve here, because Steve has deep dived so much. He's got years of experience of deep diving into he's a believer. Those are just came in late. We're all believers. Everybody on this show is believers of Bigfoot. We're knowers and stuff like that. But these cases, these people that continue to do these things occasionally need to be called out, and the facts need to be presented so that the average person that's interested in this field, even if it's for entertainment purposes, needs to know the truth. They need to know what they're looking at. You know what I mean?
You know, you know, I don't have hang-ups on many terms. The one term, for some strange reason, I have a term. I have a hang-up on the term knower. And the reason why is a lot of people that have witnessed Sasquatch come on the Facebook groups and say, "Well, I'm a knower," and well, hold on, how much do you really know? I mean, I see a car out there. Do I know what the torque is on the tension on a tension rod on a car? No, but I know car exists. That doesn't make me a knower. I know I'm a witness. I've witnessed these. Why do we have to elevate it to something that it's not? You know, because a knower would know. Well, then what does a Sasquatch eat? Well, I don't know. Well, where does a Sasquatch migrate? Well, I don't know. Well, you said you were a knower, right? You see, so
Well,
that's why
I ask those questions are the ones that say they're an expert. Those are the ones that get me. I hate that term.
Okay,
Expert.
now here is the difference. Here's the difference. I do not call myself an expert. Calling yourself an expert is the wrong thing to do. If other people in the general public call me an expert, that's okay. And the reason why is, think about this. Your water main breaks. Who do you call? A plumber, because they're the expert, right? But when a plumber goes to a plumber's convention, are they experts or are they colleagues? Right. So it's a frame of reference. Expert is a frame of reference. When one calls himself an expert, that's where there's an issue.
Right.
And there is a guy out there. In fact, I just corrected him a little bit today, as a matter of fact, called the Bigfoot expert. And I outed him on one of my shows. And the funny thing is when they announced me for the Ohio Hocking Hills Bigfoot conference, he got on there and says, "But is he an expert though?" And I responded to that. There are no Bigfoot experts, not even you. But if I need my engine repaired, I'll give you a call. And if I need you to make up a story or two, the big smiley face.
That's going to be an interesting conference, don't you think?
Well, I don't think he's going to show up, but I think he just thought it was.
I kind of did the same thing 2 years ago at the Florida Bigfoot conference, and there was a lot of drama that led up to it, and I did it for somebody, even though I believed it myself, but on what I was going to do. But when I was on stage and I was talking, I made the comment to a crowd of 2,000 people. There are no experts in this field. Okay, there are no experts. And I turned and looked right at him, sitting right there, to make him abundantly clear I'm talking about you. You know what I mean? Because we have one. We have one here in Florida that claims to be the quote expert.
Oh, with this lovely video in the middle of the grass that's been debunked many times.
It has.
But you see, here's the misnomer of that. There are Bigfoot experts. There are. And believe it or not, it is us who have researched for a long time, because to John Q. Public, they don't know the history of the Patterson-Gimlin film. They don't know what's real and what's not. They don't know who the bad players are, who the good players are, what the real story is behind the science of it, what some of the most common things are found. So we are experts, but amongst ourselves, we're not. Right. So when we call ourselves experts ourselves, that's disingenuous. But in reality, to the general public, we are people that have been out there doing this job. Even if you've been on it for a year, you're an expert to them because they've never done it. Just like I'm not an expert network news journalist. I am kind of a journalist, but I'm not they would be the expert in how to do that. But I'm sure they don't consider themselves an expert when they're amongst their colleagues sitting in the newsroom.
Right.
So there's a lot. I mean, it's just semantics. And it's how you play it. And okay, you want to call me an expert? All right, you call me an expert. That's fine. I'm not an expert. I'll be the first to admit that. Nobody is, like you said, nobody is really an expert amongst ourselves. That I will be 100% sure.
Well, there's definitely, people that know more. You know what I mean? Like Johnny's, his experiences and what he's experiencing and what he's documenting is more than what I'm documenting. You know, you know,
Well,
Johnny's
there's also different facets of I've over the years I've narrowed my focus to
right.
I don't do a whole lot of speculation on things I don't have personal experience with. And I've tried to just narrow everything down to what I've experienced and then line it up with what other people have experienced and then go from there. I don't really go after, like, there's people out there that I've sat with that have been doing this for a long time and they can call out every single sighting in the state of
Right.
Mississippi since 1976. I'm not that dude. I'm not going to be able to do that. Now, there's other things that I have experience with
Right.
and I've had experience with over and over again, but it's just that one thing. It's not,
Right.
that doesn't mean I know everything about everything at all. But, you know,
It's like when I was a private investigator, when people called me, they call me because I'm the expert in certain things, right? To them. But when I'm out in the field with other investigators, I'm not the expert. Right? So it's like we get hung up on that. It's almost like, and again, that goes back to Bigfooters and people in these realms that want to attack people for the sake of being attacking. And I think this whole expert thing got such a huge hatred, such a huge kerfuffle because somebody decided to attack somebody because they were called an expert in some newspaper or something. Let's face the music. The John Q. Public, we are the experts. We may
Right.
not be, but we are the experts, the John Q. Public, and that's the fact.
Well,
It
on
makes
that point where you say we're, ourselves, we don't call ourselves experts or anything like that. I tell people, when you get into this field, you should create with knowledgeable people with some experience, but create your own group that you can have them check your information, have them, check your evidence. See what I'm saying? You're having your own peer review with your peers, people that you trust, people that you respect, and people that if they say something you don't want to hear, you don't take it personal. You don't. See what I'm saying? And there's too many of them out there that when you say, "Well, that's not right," da 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 da, well, you start pissing people off, and because they take it so personal. I don't take it personal. If somebody comes to me, if I show something to Johnny and Johnny tells me, "Hey, I don't think you got anything there," well, then I don't have anything there because I respect Johnny. I trust Johnny. I have other people too. I have people that I will go to. See what I'm saying? And I think
okay.
every researcher should have that kind of mentorship where they can go to these people and do a peer review with.
Now, I would like to take a look at. There's another comment in here that Arthur said. Triarchs. I'd like to comment on that a bit.
Which one?
The one right under Grant Rasha. It's a
This
comment
one?
about Matt Moneymaker. Yeah. And I would like to know why he thinks Matt Moneymaker is a joke. Just curious. Because I in probably a sentence or two will, if you're an honest thinking person, you'll probably reconsider that. So why do you think so? Why do you think he is? Because he comes off like one on TV, or because what other people say about him? He was co-founder of one of the biggest and probably the most foremost and looked at databases on Bigfoot sighting reports in the world, in all of history. That's all I got to say. I may not have to agree with everything he says. I may cringe sometimes at some of the things he does say. I may not agree with some of his philosophies. I don't bring it down to a personal level if I have a disagreement with a person. And Matt and I have had our big disagreements. But we have a very friendly relationship now. And if there's something that he wants to load down on, guess who he comes to? Right. So that doesn't mean I'm best buddies with him. That doesn't mean We share Christmas cards, but we have a good professional relationship and a professional relationship. I don't judge him. He doesn't judge me. He doesn't necessarily agree with everything I say either. So, but he has created one of the biggest databases in the world. He did create one of the most popular Bigfoot TV shows in the world, or he was leader of the team or the cast or whatever you want to call him, the Bigfoot in the world. And you know, if you don't mesh with his personality, then I understand that. Personality clashes happen. I get that too. You understand, as an investigator, and not only was I an investigator, but I was also a undercover investigator as well. And I was a U.S. government contractor, undercover investigator for the food stamp program. And you have to navigate people. And that's been one of my tactful things. I'm able to navigate many different personalities. So there's only a very few personality sets I don't mesh well with. I can get along in the hood. I can get along in high society. I can get along in middle class. I can get along in the Muslim community very well. I can get along very well in the Jewish community. I can get along very well in the WASPy communities and the Catholic communities. That's just who I am. That's why I can actually have conversations with Rick Dyer and not be at his throat. There are very few people I do not like. If you have wronged me, then I do not like you. Rick Dyer wronged me once, and he apologized for it. And I accepted his apology, and we have never spoken of that again. But he knows I don't believe his stuff, and he kind of chuckles and he understands the adversarial relationship. But there's one thing that he's always had for me, and I respect that. He had respect for me. And he's like, damn, I don't want you going after me again.
Let's delve into another really interesting topic, because when people ask what is it going to take, and it always a body is the first thing, but the real big thing in the last few years has been DNA. Where do you stand on the Melba Ketchum DNA study?
Dude, how'd you do that? You just literally read my mind.
Because you're
that
my
was
buddy,
going to be.
Well, a lot of people don't know. I had a conversation with Melba Ketchum in 2010. And when I got off the phone, I did not have good feelings about that at all. The other thing is I had a couple of people that were embedded into the project, some of my sources. And I knew that this angel DNA stuff was coming out a couple of years ahead of time. That's why I never spoke much of it, because I'm like, oh boy, here we go. But I didn't want to ruin my source.
It was pre-planned, is what you're saying. They already had
yeah, the Smeha sample was going to be the centerpiece, because here is this witness that shot it. Here's the sample. It matches all the other DNA, and then we have the results, right? But Smeha
is that the guy with the bear?
Yeah, that's the guy who was
right. Not bear. He shot the juvenile.
He was a wild card, because, and I don't know how to play it, how they exactly played out, because that is way too complicated to get into, and there's a lot of. But Smeha sent the sample to Brian Sykes and to another lab, and they knew it was bear, while Ketchum behind the scenes was telling everybody it matched the Bigfoot profile of everything else. Right. And that's why Smeha, beginning in January, I think the year before the results came out of the Ketchum study, he was calling Melba a liar and a fraud and all these other things, because he knew what she had told him, but she had known what Dr. Brian Sykes had told him too, that what you have here is a bear. And she was telling him something different, and he knew she was a fraud. And almost thinking, this is kind of a wild thing to think about, did he create that hoax to expose her? Wow. Think about that.
That's an interesting theory right there.
Think
Absolutely.
about that he created that hoax to out Melba Ketchum, and nobody caught it. Nobody caught it.
I talked to an individual, um, and I'm not going to say their name. This conversation I had with somebody that actually knew Moneymaker very well, and all the people from Finding Bigfoot. Uh, but he said he knew the guys that financially backed Melba Ketchum, and he was privy to the emails, and pretty much the emails spelled it out that she was basically just dragging them out for more and more money. And unfortunately, the guys that were funding it, by the end of it, they didn't want to publicly be out there. So even though they're the ones that could put all of this to rest, they wouldn't come forward, is what I was told.
And by that you mean a person by the name of Wally Hersham. And
I don't.
before his death, there was Richard Stubstad, who put some money into the project. And of course, the final one that put money into the project because his project had failed was Adrian Erickson, who was separate, but then went all in on
The Erickson project.
Yep.
Right.
And the Erickson project, believe it or not, part of that was based in the Kentucky ORV thing, which was a complete and utter baloney story. And the Janice Carter farm, believe it or not, have, two very well-known fabricators of unknown, but I was later to find out the real story of Roger Junkie ORV situation there, phony baloney too. We should want the real thing. And,
right. We should be told the truth.
The reason why these cats have such big subscriber bases is because the people that subscribe to their channel don't care whether they get the Impossible Whopper or the real thing. Right. And that's why
it's entertainment.
It's entertainment. So the people that segue to our channel are the people that want the real truth, that want the lowdown, that like the dirt, and that also want the truth. So we try to give that to them. And we at the same time, I've been throwing out these little Bigfoot vlogs, which I'm trying to entertain some people too.
That's definitely going on screen.
That's damn straight. I can't.
Oh, Mick, we're going to worry about you. We don't judge. We don't judge.
And you know what? And that's the other thing too. And I know I see Batman talking about anonymous sources and stuff like that. The anonymous sources that I put out there, I know them by name. So when I say an anonymous source has said that, Todd Standing has done this or that, I know their real name.
They're anonymous to everybody else.
Right.
They're anonymous to everybody else, right? Because they don't want to be bothered in their everyday life. They've gone through enough.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. I want to do something real quick here. I want to play something if it'll play, just for some fun here. And I told you earlier I wanted to do this, and you tell me who this guy is.
Yeah, there's this girl who moved in across the street, and she came over because she wanted to play. But don't worry, I got back in her.
What'd you do?
I whipped out my lizard.
Oh my God! No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh my God! I can't believe you just did that, dude. You're gonna have so every single podcast we do from now on is going to be someone's gonna come in the middle of it and give their expert opinion on it. That's hilarious, dude.
Was it spot on?
Oh my God! As soon as I heard it, I was like, "Oh no, he didn't." Oh Jesus!
oh, hang on a second.
I'll send that to you guys so you can put it in your portfolio.
Hang on a second. I got a spoof of that.
I'll play it again if anybody wants to see it. But I saw that and I was like, oh, I got to create something from this, And so I took that snippet, and it was so spot on. Did he just do?
Yeah, he's got a liquor bottle. Uh, is that something that goes on during that?
Yeah.
I've never watched. I didn't. I never watched that until Richard sent me one the other day, and I'm like, "What the hell's going on here? What is this guy doing?" I didn't realize that all that was.
Yeah.
Anyway,
If Flat Rock is still in the chat room, that was for you, buddy. That was for you, man. You know. But I thought it was funny when I saw it. I was like, dude, that is so spot on.
So it would now be an inappropriate time to talk about Land Between the Lakes?
Would you
no,
like
I
to?
think it'd be a perfect time. I'm going to take a bathroom break though. I'll be right back.
Well, according to the person we're talking about, he like this in air quotes was pretty much well, according to Steve Kulls, the Adirondacks is just covered in Bigfoots. You know what I mean?
No, they're not.
I can't hear anybody.
Uh-oh. Check 1, 2. Hello.
Oh, you're back.
All right.
Well, I was on a show.
I had mine muted. That's why you didn't hear mine.
Oh,
well, listen. I choose. I really when it comes to that particular individual, I choose not to directly address any of his comments towards myself or anything else, because you cannot where there would be nothing useful of any conversation or any dialogue except for maybe some internet fodder. I like to have like to have a little fun, which I just did. Of course, I take things with a lot of great humor. Listen, the guy came to me a few years ago and was so grateful that somebody that had been there so long with me, or been around in research rather, had been around for so long, that would take an interest, and he felt really good about it. And then he had a personal issue with life, and we were all there and rallied around him. And then when he came out of that, he became a complete jerk to a lot of us. He would come in and try to sandbag shows in the chat room, and he would not see where that was wrong. And then he escalated it by me doing a show on one thing and then him doing a rebuttal show without even me telling me he was doing one on it, trying to, and not really providing anything that was factually correct other than just his opinions.
Yeah.
So at that point I decided, well, that's not how a friend acts. We rallied around him like he was a friend, and then he treats us like a friend would not.
Right.
All right. If a friend has a disagreement about something, they talk it out, and even together, maybe even on a podcast. But he was so disrespectful and so not willing to hear the other side of the argument. The whole LBL thing. Well, there's how many millions of people visit LBL? That's one person well, they're not there every day of the year. So it's not one person for, but if you take an average, it's about one person for every 118 acres, maybe 200 acres. I forget what the exact stat was, but it was nothing near that what he had said. Grant, you bastard, pardon my French, but
oh, I see what he wrote.
Thank you for pointing that out. It's not clothing optional. Their clothing is required.
Yeah, I was on a show, and they do what I do: is you promote the show leading up to the show. You promote, let people know who the guest is and all that. And the title of the show was, Florida researcher or skunk ape researcher or whatever. He was the first comment, And his exact comment, and this is all his opinions are like this: there are no Bigfoot in Florida confirmed. Okay, well, if it's confirmed, where's your receipts? Where's the proof? Who did you speak to? Where did this information come from? See what I'm saying? Because what are we seeing down here? What are we experiencing down here? You know what I mean?
You know,
So,
I finally realized that the terminology I was looking for, uh, the reason why I don't respond to his comments anymore and why I've blocked him out of a lot of things is because I don't respond to internet trolls, and that's all he's become is a troll.
yeah, exactly.
Well,
Well,
that's what
that's
I
why we
was, and
never. Go ahead.
I'm catching up on this. I remember seeing him years ago. I think I remember seeing you with him on the same show, right? Y'all used
Oh
to do a
yeah,
show
yeah.
together.
Oh, well, not a show together, but we were appeared on a lot of shows together as guests, and everybody froze up.
I'm not froze.
Okay, there we go.
I just sit still when I'm listening.
Johnny Two Bears has got that intense look on his face.
Yeah, he's froze. Hopefully
Hello,
you can hear
Johnny.
us.
Johnny, are you there?
He's just staring. That's a creepy look for Johnny. That's a creepy look. But we don't. We've kind of made a pact with a few of us podcasters and stuff like that. We don't mention his name or his channel because we don't want to give him an audience. And
Right.
we'll talk about it in general facts. He got upset with me because I had mentioned it. Well, I don't even think I was the one who brought it up, but I might have. But we were talking about him, and I don't mention names. I don't try to bash these guys, and
No, but
so we were talking, and all I said was he's he comes across as such a miserable person. He is unhappy in life, and he needs to find something he's happy with, and he needs to get involved in something that he's more catered to enjoying, because this is not it. If all you've got is negative, negative, negative comments, you're not happy with the Bigfoot field. Move on to something else,
right,
because I have learned, I'm 56, and I've learned very quickly, life is short. We don't have a lot of time. You need to enjoy it. I do these podcasts because I love this. I enjoy the topic of Bigfoot. I can talk about it every day, all day, just like you know. And so we do this not just because we're looking for the truth, but we also enjoy it. We enjoy this topic. We enjoy this subject, and this is what we're going to do. He does not. He does not. See what I'm saying? And so I always, and so he got upset because I said that. So he emailed me saying that, well, I think that was wrong. I you should have brought me on your show, or you come on my show so I could defend myself. Uh, this is why I did not respond to his email. When has he ever given that privilege to anybody else that he's talked about? He
right.
backed, and everybody knows Flat Rock. Flat Rock's been around. Flat Rock is a very nice man. I met him in person. He is a great guy. He's been on my show. He's a good person, and he bashed Flat Rock. Never had Flat Rock on the show to defend himself. He didn't have Brian King Sharp on the show to defend himself. He didn't have Daniel Bennett on his show to defend himself. So I'm not giving him.
I mean, who the hell is he to say somebody's not autistic?
Well, he's done it twice now. He's done it twice now.
How does he
Because
know? Where are your receipts? Where's his receipts? The man's incorrigible. And you know
Yeah.
what? I don't need a person like that in my life. Neither does anybody else.
Right.
Yeah, I missed all that.
No,
we were there when he was at a very down point in his life. And that's how he repays us. At least myself. That's how I feel. That's how he repays us. There were a few years ago.
well, evidently
was so down.
He's spreading that
man-
payment around to everybody.
This man was so down. I invited him to my own home if he can make it up here for Christmas because he was so down. And then 4 months later, he starts slowly trying to work the knife in my back. Well, A2, Brute. A2.
Well,
Well, he's made some pretty raunchy, especially lately. He made a very raunchy comment that a lot of people did not appreciate. It was absolutely unfounded. Should have never been said on air. But he made fun of somebody that me and Johnny know, and I know very personally. And his last show, he didn't even watch the whole shows. He just watched 5 minutes of each show and then commented on it. And at one point, he was an interview with a friend of mine, Mike Aguilar, and his son. And Mike is a good guy. He's born and raised Floridian, like third, fourth generation like me, just a good country boy. His son is autistic, and his son is a fabulous young man. And Mike and him go in the woods because that's their bonding time. And the whole Bigfoot thing has really opened his son up. See what I'm saying? And as a community, we accepted this kid as part of the Bigfoot community. See what I'm saying? As like a junior researcher. And he made the comment that, oh, he takes his son Bigfooting. That's disturbing. What's disturbing about it? If he had watched the whole video, the whole show, it was about autism, kids with autism getting in the woods and doing this. That's what it was about. It was about the autistic children. He didn't get that part because he's nitpicking what he wants to comment on. There's nothing disturbing about anybody, autistic or not, taking your child out into the woods and enjoying yourself and creating memories with your kid. There's nothing disturbing about that.
Let me just touch on something. A lot of people don't know a lot about my private life because I keep it private. I've managed to keep a lot of my private life private, believe it or not. What people know of me is what I've shared. And a few years ago, God, feels like a few years ago, but no, it seemed like yesterday. But I actually spent a couple of years working with, a few years actually working with developmentally disabled children. And I worked a few years with at-risk youth. And it got to the point where I was working at the group home where they asked me to run groups on doing stuff like cryptozoology, paranormal, because they knew that was my background. I like to do it and I like to teach it. And if I could work away with it to help them. And what I explained to those kids was when I would talk about these things, that this is why history, math, science, biology, all of that is so important to know, because if you really want to be good at doing this, you need to excel in every single one of those areas. And they were all like, and all their grades started to come up. And now they seem to be more interested. And they would ask me science questions. And they would ask me, questions about this or that, or history questions. All of a sudden, you took their brains and you put a little bit of traction in there, show them the end result, what you could be doing. Put a little traction in that brain of theirs, the growing brain, and wonderful things can happen. And that's exactly what happened. And it's amazing. I got a letter from one of the kids that was in my group home, who is now almost 30 years old, thanking me and how great I was to him. And I was one of his heroes, and that he made his life there a lot easier and put him was one of the people that put him in the right direction. And what more can you say about that? What more, can you feel about that? So I get kind of irritated and agitated when somebody will talk out of turn about autistic kids or at-risk kids, because every kid has the ability or the opportunity to become much greater than what they, much greater what they can even imagine.
Oh, absolutely. And Johnny's expecting a child, and I have a funny feeling that kid's going to walk right into Bigfoot research.
Oh yeah. The other two are questionable. My son is he's kind of interested, but it scares the ever loving bejesus out of it. So, last time I think we told the story last time when we were out at our main research area, and either I think it was a possum or an armadillo came running out, and that ended his night right there. He was like, that was too much.
Well, armadillos can be quite loud.
Yeah. Yeah, he did really good in the dark. I mean, we walk around, no flashlights, no nothing, and then we just sit there in the dark. And he never made a peep, never said he had to go, never complained at all. And then that armadillo, man, that just ruined it.
That's because his senses were heightened.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. But the people that are, I mean, there's a lot of people out there, even on videos um, that I've put out, uh, that they're so convinced that these things are raging killing machines that they think you're endangering your child when you get them involved. And it's like, first of all, I'm 44 years old. Uh, these are my children. They're not toddlers. If I thought for a second that my son or my daughter was going to be in danger by doing this, I would not have them involved. It didn't matter, it wouldn't matter what it was. My theory is this: I want them to know as much as I know, or as much as I think I know, just like you would if you live in an area where you've got grizzly bears or you got wolves or whatever else. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to attack or do whatever else, but I want them to know that, look, these things are real, and there is a possibility that one day something will happen. Maybe you'll run into one. Maybe uh, you just got to be thinking when you're out there, because we live on the edge of the management area. The entire reason I got into this is because of the activity around here. I can't walk around and pretend like it's not happening, you know. And I didn't talk to them about it for the first couple of years. They didn't know why I was super interested, because I didn't want to scare them. I didn't want my son to be petrified of the woods. But when he got old enough, I told him, hey, look, this is what's going on. This is why I'm into this, and all that. So, and I've yet to see the evidence that they are killing machines. You provide me with that evidence, and then we'll revisit that. But I just don't
No,
see it.
that's 100%. I agree with everything you just said. Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure Mike, when he takes his son out there, he's teaching him other skills as well. He's teaching him what a raccoon print looks like, or what a deer print looks like, and how can you tell between a doe and a buck, and showing him rubs and scrapes. And it's an educational time, and it's an important time in a young man's life to have those memories with your father. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I think some people just, the negativity sells. There are people that want to,
Absolutely.
that's their entire shtick. I think this is literally, for me personally, this is out on the edge. I'm glad there's people like Steve that do this. People like, Brian does a little bit of it.
Yep.
For me personally, I don't, I don't get involved in any of that. It's just not my thing. But I'm glad there are people out there that do it.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I told Steve, our channel's too small for me to do a deep dive and do that stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm going to grow first. you know.
Well, it's funny. Every time we do a deep dive and expose something, we grow a little bit more.
Well,
Controversy, believe it or not, sells. And a
Oh
lot
yeah,
more of my exposés do a lot more better than my educational pieces. Like I
right.
say, the general public wants more dirt than they want facts.
Oh yeah,
well,
And then they want entertainment more than.
The Inquirer was a very, very popular magazine.
But
yeah.
that was entertainment.
Right.
That wasn't necessarily dirt. That was a lot of entertainment dirt.
But it was a lot
But-
of faults.
Yeah. And that's really huge, is that, when I come at something, I always try to come with the receipts, because as an investigator, it's like everything else. Everything has a process. And if I get something, there are some things I can work really fast. The things you can't work fast is investigations. That takes time. That takes process. Like, for example, when I got the Vermont trail cam photo, that took 7 months to work that investigation. And, people expect you to say something soon. No, I can't say nothing right now until I get all the facts in. And then once we get everything in, then we can go out and say it. That's why when you see people that come up with Bigfoot evidence and this happened last Tuesday, well, what? You haven't done any research, you haven't done any science, you haven't done anything to back up your claim.
Right.
You get something, you got to work it. Like even our Whitehall howl that was worked up, refined, ran through processing tests, and a whole bunch of other things, bird net, everything, to come up with the answer of what we did before we actually put it out there. And that's the problem. We have videos that come out all the time. Well, we don't know. And this is people ask me, well, Steve, what's your, litmus test for real videos? Well, number one, it doesn't contain the video at all. Take the video, put it aside. What's the story? Where did it come from? What time did it come from? What was the date? What was the camera that was used to shoot that? Right? What were the circumstances? What were they doing before and after? If none of those are there, the video is meaningless. Video is useless. There is no provenance to it because there is no frame set put it other than a 10 or 15 second big video of a blurry or Bigfoot that's ambiguous.
Well, a prime example of that is, you remember James Williams, Dark Waters?
Oh, yeah.
And he was like that. He'd hear your story, but his questions were, what was going on in your life prior to that? See what I'm saying? He delved on the psychological side. What were you going through? Did you just go through a divorce, or were you having financial problems? See what I'm saying?
That's all part of it. When I get a piece of evidence, I go through those questions. I also go through some medical questions. Have you suffered depression? Have you had any anxieties, phobias, any psychological? And this is private. I'm not going to make this public, but I need to know this up front. Because the more honest that a witness, and more open, rather, not honest, but more open a witness is to me about their background, the better it builds their case, for better or for worse.
Right.
What was your exposure to Bigfoot before this had occurred? Have you ever looked at the topic? Have you ever watched this show? Have you ever, ever delved into this or that? So then you move into your next steps. Is the actual event, and you want to build a timeline around even a simple road crossing. Well, where were you coming from? Okay, what was the last point you left? Well, I left my house. Okay, where were you going? Oh, I was going to the general store on Route 47. Okay, how do you normally drive it? Well, I only go to here, to here, to here, to here. Now you build that timeline right up on Google Maps. This is where they were going. This is where the incident occurred. Now you can measure that on Google Maps to see what the estimated time should be.
Right.
Well, why is there a time gap? Did they really travel that route? Or are they just saying they did? Right. There's ways to validate and, all this stuff. The same thing with even a simple, I went to the woods that day. Okay. So you left your house on what day? Okay. And you map everything out, build a timeline. That way, when you present this sighting case or this piece of evidence, you have a story to tell from bookend to bookend, not just this little piece of thing, which can be broken down pretty easily. If you think about it, what is the most respected piece of film out there? Patterson Gimlin film. Well, why is that? Because we have a beginning time and we have an end time. We have a whole timeline of events over several days.
Right.
And that's why that's held up. And that just speaks to its authenticity, I think.
One of the things that I found very interesting from the psychological standpoint is I always kind of wondered, like, how much can you really know about somebody from like the psychological questionnaires and stuff? Well, when I got on with the fire department, I had to do the psychological examination. And when I was done, I was not only shocked, but a little disturbed at how well they knew me, or the psychologist did. Because that's one of the last things that they do during the hiring process is you sit down and he basically tells you that you passed that part. And then I think it's kind of intentional. He kind of tells you a little things that he figured out about you. And there's like a little smirk. And it's like, God, man, how did you know that? Like stuff about my mom that he got from a questionnaire. But like he figured out. And I remember one of the things was he figured out that uh, I didn't have a very good relationship with my mother. And I didn't remember there being an exact question about asking specifically if I did or not. There may have been or whatever, but there was a couple of different things that he knew about me that from a piece of paper that just blew my mind. So there's definitely a science to it, and it's actually very impressive and very interesting.
Oh, it's amazing when I've gotten some. One of the things I've done is I developed a bunch of tools to help me break down stuff a lot quicker. And like I'll read a story, and if I suspect something's wrong with it, I'll run it through the program, and it'll confirm some of my thoughts on it. It may bring up a few more points, or it may deny some of the points that I thought were legitimate and actually legitimize it. So.
Well, I want to put this back up while you're talking. This was the book again. This because it goes into that. You go into those details in this particular book right there.
Right. Well,
and I'm currently reading that book.
And the other book that I go into really deep into it is The Psychology of Bigfoot. And that one I go really deep into stuff like Dunning-Kruger effect and cognitive dissonance and illusionary superiority. And, there's just, I have to refer to it because, again, I wrote this last year, and there's just so many different types of, where's my table of contents? I always end up skipping that, which is the one I want. There it is. Why people hoax and, neurolinguistics and body language and the likes of that stuff. And I go on to bring in that book a lot of real world cases like the Susan Smith, drowning of her children. Mary Beth Tinning, a serial killer who killed, 5 or 6 of her children over a period of like 10 years, using, sudden infant death syndrome as the excuse. It doesn't, unfortunately, Grant. Next book I will it'll have the pop-up scratch and sniff Sasquatch.
Well, my goal is to take this book when I'm done with it, mail it to Johnny so Johnny gets a chance to read it. Then Johnny's going to mail it to you so you can sign it and then mail it back to me.
Well, I can afford to get one. Thanks, Richard.
Damn it, man.
I think you can mail it directly to Steve. He'll probably sign it for you.
Oh, did Steve freeze?
Yeah, it looks like it. I'm going to have to go.
Looks like Arthur's not a fan.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's an exit.
So really, Arthur, have you ever been out on an expedition with me? Then you speak out of sequence, sir. And I suppose you didn't like my Todd Stanley comments.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, Todd Stanling. It's another Stanling follower, I believe.
Johnny was saying that he's got to go because I know he has to work.
Yeah, I got to get up at 3:00, but you guys continue on whatever y'all want to do. But unfortunately I got to get in bed, or else I will be absolutely miserable tomorrow.
Johnny, pleasure meeting you, sir.
Yeah, you too, man. I hope we can get to talk again. This has been very informative, and I really enjoyed it. Richard, I thank you, sir, for all it is that you do. And I'm glad hopefully you're about to turn into Spider-Man.
Well, this is the 3rd time I've been bit by a spider and no superpowers. How disappointing is that,
3rd time's a charm. All right, everybody. I will talk to y'all later.
All right, Johnny. Take care, buddy.
Bye.
Well, there we have it.
So, I mean, this is fantastic, and we can talk as long as you want to talk. If there's one person in the chat room or 50, I don't care. Uh, I want to take advantage as much as I can to have Steve on the show. This is fantastic. You know what I mean? And I think some people were confused. Now, did you pick the option that you can put this on your channel too? Because that option's there.
Okay, yeah, I did.
Because,
it's rolling on my. Yep, it's rolling on my channel.
Good. Because people came in going, Steve didn't say there was a show tonight. They were complaining that you didn't announce a show. And I wanted to go in there and say, well, because then I thought, oh, okay, yeah, because I do put that option where you can also broadcast it. Because we broadcast it at 3 channels. That's why when I put a comment in there, you see it 3 times, because it's on my research channel, it's on his research channel, and of course it's on this one. You know. That's why I tell people, guests and stuff, they'll call me and they'll say, oh, and I'll tell them, hey, you did fantastic. That was an awesome show. And they're like, well, there's only 40 views or whatever. I said, well, you've got to go look at all the channels and then add them up. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I picked that book because of the title, it being about investigating, and that's what I do, and stuff like that. So I really, there were other books. Trust me, I even sent you a text saying it took me a while to choose because there was other books, and I didn't want to buy all 7 or 6 or whatever you've got.
So, if I may interrupt, it looks like Arthur said the best one was on Finding Bigfoot. They had like 30 or sent all the trucks home. You gave up 30. Sent me out. Nat Geo sent me out to Inverness, Scotland, to do a 9-day expedition looking for our water cryptid, the Loch Ness Monster.
I love the Loch Ness Monster. That's my very first cryptid as a kid that I loved.
From there, I did Monsters and Mysteries Unsolved for Discovery Networks. At the time, it went on Destination America, and then it later went on to the Travel Channel. There was a couple of Mysteries and Monsters I did. I did a couple of other documentaries. American Sasquatch Hunters. That was a private label documentary. Actually, let me. It's so confusing, and I've done so many now.
Well, you don't got to list them all, but at least it gives a synopsis of your background. Is not just investigating. It's not just writing books. I mean, you're a TV. People recognize your face. They know your involvement in this field.
Yeah. I took down it was still getting so long. So
I was the other day watching Tubby, and a show popped up. Oh, it's about Bigfoot. So I clicked on it. There's Steve in that show.
Somebody else said that to me too the other day. They were watching Tubi, and they said I clicked on it, and they're all of a sudden there's Steve. But thank you, Laurie.
I know that's your money because we don't have them.
What ended up happening was I've done a number of small towns monsters productions. Now I think I've been on like 4 or 5 of them now. I've been on Finding J2 and 3. I'm going to be on Finding J3, which is an Amazon Prime documentary. And finally, I've been a recurring on the Bigfoot panel since 2023 on The Proof Is Out There with Tony Harris. And that's on the History Channel. So that's pretty much where I've been as far as those TV productions. And I was also on the History Channel, America's Book of Secrets.
Right.
So there's been a bunch of them over the years. And like I said, I've been consistently on TV since 2008. So it's been, 2008, 15 years.
Wow.
More than that, 17 years. So that's a pretty damn good record, I think.
Well, I think you got a fantastic resume. I mean, it's just fully rounded. You know what I mean? It's not, there's no empty spaces. You know what I mean? Unless you want to add one of the pieces of the pie as a hoaxer, which we don't. You know what I mean? But you've got all the positives filled out. So that's an awesome resume. Yeah.
And I always try to keep it real. I mean, there was points on documentaries. Can you say this? No, I really can't say that accurately. Well, how would you say that accurate? How would you say something accurately like that? And then I would come out with an accurate statement. I would never compromise, necessarily anything that I believe in, or I won't. Of course, they don't want to name names on certain things because that um uh and Arthur, I agree with that, by the way. Sasquatch, there a guy named Miguel, he's an up and comer. I agree with that actually.
Yeah, I know Miguel very well.
Yeah.
Great guy. He is a
Good guy.
great guy.
Yeah, I like him too.
He's a good
Absolutely.
kid. I'd say kid because I'm 56.
See, Arthur, we do agree on some stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Miguel's
believe it or not.
Miguel's
Yeah.
he's in my phone. I can reach him anytime I want.
See, a lot of people think that I hate these people. I don't like these people. I bet you I could have a beer and a laugh with Todd Standing. I mean, truthfully, Todd Standing has actually said kind things about me. Saying I'm a great researcher. So, although I do knock some of his stuff, and he understands that, that's my job, right? It's nothing personal. This is all business. This is, I mean, they're not committing crimes. They're not committing crimes, although there is some parallels with certain people.
Right.
But
it's the same with the other guy that we were talking about, and I played the video about. But I don't hate him at all. I really don't. I'm saddened by him, and I've made comments that I'll pray for him. That he finds some peace in his life and some happiness. He actually gave me 2 thumbs up on the show. When has he ever done that? You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, But,
I look at it this way. What he did hurt me. Not professionally, but personally.
Yeah.
I considered him a friend.
Right.
And he started tanking stuff, and then I asked him not to, and he doubled down. Okay.
Right. I've been in the same boat.
I do not need people like that in my life.
I get it. Absolutely. And I had somebody that was in my world of Bigfooting that in the beginning I respected and stuff like that. But as you get to know someone and you realize things, and then people come to you and give you the inside information on things, it breaks your heart that person was not who you thought they were. You know what I mean? And all I can do is just cut ties and just keep moving in a positive manner with my life and doing what I got to do.
Let me give you a little bit of insight on something that probably I've never talked about too much before. So you're going to get a kind of an exclusive here. But one of my first mentors was Bill Brand, one of the authors of Monsters of the Northwoods. And I was his protege for a while. And he got really angry. I was starting to get a little notoriety. Like originally the Monster Quest was supposed to feature him, but they chose. No, that's not true, Mick.
Oh, I'm putting that up. Oh, I was trying to anyways, but it keeps moving.
Sure. Well, I'm a little less sensitive now.
Well, I was hoping you were coming in earlier because I always tell everybody to come in about a half an hour before we start the show and we could talk and stuff like that. And I'm always jamming tunes. They come in and I'm jamming. Like today was Danger Zone. That was my song for the day. I was just really into that for some reason.
Little cryptic type of music there for today.
Right. Well, I thought of it because I knew we were delving into a dangerous area. So, you know what I mean? For some people, anyways.
But getting back to the Brand story, what ended up happening was I had joined the Northeast Sasquatch Research Association, and he got really mad about that I joined another organization. Like I could only join one organization, his. And he created this organization probably a couple of years, 3 years after we had been, kind of researching together. And that was it. He kind of ostracized me. And then I wrote my first book, and I talked about, my book 50 Large, and I talk about that ostracization and how it felt and how I was hurt and, by that. And it came down to 2016 at the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival. Bill Brand was there. And he turned around and he says, well, that what you wrote me and that your book there really hurt my feelings. I said, well, Bill, you hurt my feelings too. but you know what? I'm willing to forgive and forget. And he goes, well, I am too. And we shook hands. And I had one book left of What Would Sasquatch Do, my second book I wrote. And he was like, let me buy your next book. I go, Bill, you ain't buying my next book. This one's just for you. And I wrote him a big thank you on the cover. I handed it to him. About 3 weeks later, I got a phone call. He goes, I just read that book. He goes, great job. He goes, you were spot on. And I felt good we were able to reconcile before he passed.
Right.
So, and his materials, everything he had went to Todd Prescott, who is an outstanding archivist, has a great channel on YouTube that archives a lot of the older generations' paperworks and stuff like that. I'm sure someday my stuff will end up on his channel because he's probably going to live forever. But
I want to ask you this because you probably answered it, and I've probably missed it or something like that. Because a lot of your shows I don't, because my work schedule's crazy, what I do for a living. So a lot of times I watch it the next day or something like that. I try to catch them live. But with you and Chris, a fantastic co-host. He's a really nice guy, and he has that calming. And I was talking to somebody about it today. We were talking about your show, and I was like, "Yeah, you got to check it out." I said, "You got Steve, who's like, if somebody's wrong, he's like, you're wrong. And let me show you why you're wrong. And I'm going to explain it to you.
I'm a firebrand. That's right.
Right. Where Chris is like, well, I don't think you're correct, and let me. You know what I mean? He's more calming. You know what I mean? Yeah. How did you guys come together? How did you guys? Because you have the longest running podcast, Bigfoot podcast out there. The longest.
Yeah, we started this in 2006 on Blog Talk Radio. We were the first Bigfoot podcast to come on the Blog Talk Radio, which is now long gone now.
Now has he always been with you?
No, he came on in 2010. So he's been with me now for 15 years. So obviously the longest running co-host. I've had a few. My next longest running co-host was Billy Willard. Billy ran from about 2006 to 2008 for a couple of years. I had a couple other interim ones. I had Steve Indy Pickett for a while. He passed away, unfortunately. And then Chris. But how Chris and I met was I actually went to visit Chris on a Bigfoot investigation that he was having on his property. And he had started his own Bigfoot group, the Bigfoot Research, the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project, along with him with another gentleman. And that's how we met. And then Chris solidified his position as co-host when a person by the name of Java Bob Smallsback, who was Tom Biscardi's number 2 guy, basically bamboozled me to get on my show, saying he believed now that Tom was involved in the Bigfoot hoax, body hoax, which I said all along, and I had the receipts to prove it.
Right.
He bamboozled his way to get on my show and then reverse course and try to say, well, I don't think he was involved. And my phone co-host, Gary, Big G, was like, Bob, you're completely reversing yourself. You're going back on what you said, because he was there for the pre-show conversation. And so then I started going down about the lies Java Bob had said on the website. And so on the website, you say you were in fear of your lives. How do you know you weren't there? Well, that's funny. I have your police statement right here. The statement you made to the police department. And that shut him up real quick.
Right.
And then Matt Knapp came on from Bigfoot Crossroads and basically backed me up, because I had a bunch of confidential informants that were being told everything that was going on behind the scenes of that whole Bigfoot body hoax that I had kind of infiltrated in. Because Biscardi did not want me there, but I kind of forced myself to get there, and I was the one who pulled the rubber. You see the freezer, that hand going in there, pulling the rubber foot out was my hand.
Oh, wow.
That was my hand. And Biscardi wanted to cover it up, and I wouldn't let him. And so that led to some very uncomfortable things and made me public enemy number 1 of them.
Right.
Well, Mick. Um, so
I don't know.
so what ended up happening is Chris came on, and gave a testimonial right then and there. He said, "Steve, you're the only one I know here that has the integrity to turn around and be offered big dollars for going along with a cover up. And you said no. That shows your integrity right there." And I like Chris too. And eventually I said, "Hey, you want to come on and be a guest co-host?" And then he was guest host again. And then Frank was like, "Why don't you just stay on as the co-host if you want to?" And he did.
Well, I think you made a good. I think you made a good call. I mean,
We are brothers from another mother. That's
you guys definitely balance each other out really well.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's the cool thing is you guys can disagree, and you have, and you still love each other. You still respect each other. It's not personal. You see what I'm saying? And that's where people have to understand. I wish the rest of the community would get like that. You know what I mean? Because even me and you have spoken on the phone, and I'll make a comment, and then you would correct me and say, "Well, I mean, I don't take it personal at all."
And he is a guy that, I mean, he is so humble. And if people know me, if they come up to me outside of this big video world, or me on TV or whatever, or even on stage when they see me at my booth, I'm much like that myself. I'm a very humble guy. I love people. I love talking to people. I love making them laugh. It's one of the things I enjoy. In my job now, I visit a lot of nursing homes and stuff like that, and there's always people sitting out this time of year, and I come in and they're like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" Or I'll see a group of them going, I go, "Well, where's your rating signs? You got to come up with the sign." I'll make some joke, get them all laughing, and that's what I like to do. I like putting a smile on people's faces and just having some fun. And Chris is the most humble guy in the world. Does not like the spotlight, so you can't really get him to be a guest on a show anywhere. And he
I was going to try. I was going to try.
He'll say, "No, Steve's the public face of this gaggle."
No. He's got a voice, and it's an important voice as well.
He does, but he doesn't like. I don't know if it's just out of respect to me or he just. I don't know. I just know the guy very well. He's really hard to get out and about. And in the last 18 years, I have gotten him to go out to 2 events. One to the Ohio Bigfoot Conference in 2011, and once to the Scarefest in Lexington, Kentucky in 2017.
Right.
Or 2016 or 2017. And that was the last time. And the amazing thing about that, and I didn't, I never realized my reach too sometimes, and it's quite humbling. And I was at Scarefest in Lexington, and I would speak there, and I would do this big thing. And I had every time I spoke, I would have a packed room. And when everybody started filtering out, there was this older woman with another older woman with the.
I agree with Mick. Mick made a comment. I'm just saying I agree.
Yeah.
A lot of people do.
Yeah. There is this older woman sitting with another woman next to her, and they're like, "Hi, Mr. Kulls. Can we get one of your books? And can you sign? We got one here. Can you sign?" "Yeah, sure. I came all the way from Texas here to see you."
Mm-hmm.
And well, I'm all ears. And, we just had a nice, sweet conversation. It wasn't anything she wanted from me. She just wanted to hear me talk. And when that was over with, I sit back there and, that's, I don't talk religion much, but I sat there and I said a prayer, and I'm like, thank you, Lord, for making me feel appreciated, and realize that I do touch people in good ways. Because sometimes you don't always know that, but every once in a while, I'll catch that post on a comment or something like that. Because you get so many negative with the trolls on the internet. But
there is a lot of them.
But every once in a while, you get a nice post and say, "Hey, and like people like Grant and Mick, who've been following me for so long, Jay Carey, Bristol, these people, and Jen now, and there's been people that have been following me since the beginning,
Yeah.
And I just remain humbled that they do.
Yeah, and I get it because you know, this show right here was a collaboration between me and Johnny. We both have our own Bigfoot research. We do our own research channels. We do our own thing. He's in Georgia, I'm in Florida. We do our own thing. But we had become friends, and I
Right.
drove up there and spent some time with him in his research area. He came down here and spent some time with me researching. And it was really funny because I was on another show as a guest, and as the show was winding down, Johnny messaged me during while I was on the show, and he texted me. He said, "Hey man, you want to co-host with me on a podcast?" And I was like, Are you there? Okay, yeah." I said, "Heck yeah!" So as soon as I got off the show, the host of the show I was just on calls me and says, "Hey man, you want to be my co-host?" And I was like, "Dude, 5 minutes ago I got asked the same thing, and I already said yeah." And I'm a man of my word. So once I tell somebody yes, that's the way it is. But you know, I was at a Bigfoot conference, and this is a couple years ago, and this is before this podcast. We just started this in December, and people were coming up to me. "Oh, hey, I know you. I'm subscribed to your channel," and that's so humbling that somebody comes up to you because even though I've got 2,500 subscribers, which isn't a lot, that's there's 30 well, how much 300 and something million people in the United States, and only 2,500 know me and watch me, and it was so humbling. Like, wow, it makes you feel good. You know what I mean? So it makes me want to take the time to talk to them. I want to
Right.
take this moment. I'm not going to walk away from you or whatever. Let's talk. You know what I mean? Let me shake your hand. Let me, whatever you need. You want a picture? Let's do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But that's one of the good benefits of doing this. That's one of the good benefits because I do this for free. I've never made any money researching or podcasting or anything. Even at the conference, that was free. All they do is give me a free booth and a free VIP ticket for being a guest speaker. You know what I mean? So,
Well, I gotta say, I have made some money, but again, how much money have I spent over the last 20 some odd
absolutely.
years?
Oh, if I could make money like you, somebody offer me something, I'm on it
Yeah.
because you're doing what you love to do.
And a lot of times, there are shows that are new and starting or they're friends. So I don't necessarily go for anything but maybe the gas money to get me there. And if you can throw me a free room, that's fine. I'll take care of my own meals a lot of times. I'll speak, I'll sell books, and that'll be my my profit from there. And
Well, I had that opportunity for the first time, and I think me and you discussed it, because I had some tribulations about it, and we talked about it, and you kind of gave me some good sense. But I have the opportunity to go up to Ohio and go to Salt Fork and be a guest speaker at this thing, and then get an opportunity to see Salt Fork, which is a hot spot in Ohio. So I can mark that off of my bucket list. But it's not a paid gig, but they are paying for me to get there and get back. So I'm very appreciative. So.
So yeah, so it's a lot of fun. The fun thing about conferences is meeting the people, getting
It is.
Shake hands, take pictures, talk about things. Sales are
the
secondary.
worst thing. Oh yeah, the worst thing I did at a conference. And hey, Batman. No, I've never been to the Ozark Bigfoot. No, I haven't. The worst thing I ever did was have a booth. That was the worst thing I did. Because I have all my equipment, all my stuff and everything so people can look at stuff, but I can't leave. I can't walk away and enjoy anything and leave this equipment there because I spent a lot of money on this stuff.
Let me ask you a question. Something that I see certain Bigfoot groups do this. I see certain paranormal groups doing this. Why do people put their equipment out?
I do it because they always ask, well, what do you use? Or so I kind of lay it on the table like, this is night vision. This is what it looks like. This is the type of digital recorder I use.
Yeah. But here's the perception of a lot of other people. They're showing off. So that's why I don't do that. That's why I don't do that. What I do is I put up casts, I put up, displays or, whatever I can do. Like right now, I'm starting to amass some casts. I have the Patterson Gimlin one. I have the Washington one, but right. But I have mine shadow boxed for display.
Right.
And that's what I'm doing with my casts is I'm shadow boxing each of them with a display. And that catches a lot lot of people's eyes.
Oh, I have all that stuff as well.
Right.
But
So
I'm just saying, when I walk away, I don't want to leave a $800 piece of psionics night vision because I need to do this. So
I don't even bring my night vision stuff to the shows anymore. I bring my books, my displays. I bring this little bear, which is always great to have.
Yes,
it's my battery power for my table.
Yes.
Now
we have.
And in case you're wondering, Progeny has a special on Amazon. You can get one of those for $119 now.
Oh, I'm all over it. Because I was going to get one like that. It was $100 and something. This is about 2 years ago. And I didn't do it. And a guy showed up at the campground with that same one. I was like, oh man, that's what I want. Went to go buy it. It was back up to $300.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now they're $119 with a coupon, and they provide the coupon for you.
Nice.
And Grasshopper says camo doesn't work. Well, the reason why I wear camo in the woods is not because of the Bigfoot. It's because of the other animals and because of people.
Yep.
So if I want to avoid, when you go into areas and plus it's made for the outdoors, number 2.
Yeah, I tell people that all the time. Like when I go in the woods, I'm always armed, but it has nothing to do with Bigfoot at all. But in the state of Florida, we got so many things that want to do you harm. And so you have that in case of hogs, bear, cougar, whatever. But it's people. It is literally people you got to worry about the most. And I ran into it one time where I was in the deep woods and I knew there was a trail coming up. So I was working my way towards this trail. And as I got closer to this trail, I heard talking, but I couldn't make out the words. But as I got closer, it got louder and louder and louder. And when I broke out on the trail, it was a guy having a heated argument, a lot of F-bombs with a tree. And by the time I looked, he saw me, I saw him, and I have to go that way. So I just walked by, and he said something to me. I can't remember. And I just looked at him and I said, carry on. I just kept on walking, but there's crazy people out in the middle of nowhere sometimes.
So there are people. There are some people that come up to me and try to sell me the UFO stories or the portal stories or whatever. And I'm going to say, I'll listen. And this is what I think. And I actually had one woman who had this belief in UFO connection. And when I talked to her about how I felt about it, she was like, wow. She says, well, you know what? You are probably the only Bigfoot researcher that has ever taken the time to listen to me without cutting me off. And number 2, explaining at least a logical way of why they feel their position instead of just being, okay, have a nice day.
I tell you who helped me out with that predicament, because everybody knows me. I've been doing this for a while, especially the research and all that. I don't go on that side of the fence. My plate is already full with Bigfoot. I'm a true believer that 2 things can exist in the same space but can be completely unrelated. And but it was Todd Neese when he was on the show, and he was talking about how the paranormal side of it's not paranormal, but he explained why they see it as paranormal. But there is a scientific explanation for why it's happening. And I encourage, I've told people, go back and watch that show, because he really explains that side of it. So I'm always open-minded. I don't bash people that they're into that metaphysical area of it. It's their thing, and it's just not my thing. But he really explained it in a way that opened my eyes, that now I understand them better.
Oh yeah, there's stuff like PTSD, post-traumatic regression, post-traumatic amnesia, the limbic system, and how it the mind is trying to figure out an answer. So sometimes that convolutes things. It slows down time. It does different weird types of things to the mind. So absolutely.
The mind is a very, very crazy thing.
And again, we cover that in the psychology of Bigfoot, that other book I wrote as well. So
yeah,
it's on my
list. Quit, Steve. It's on my list, man.
I even do a more extensive one in the Bigfoot, the scientific examination. So I mean, it's like the books I cranked out this year are just, and we did a redoing of What Would Sasquatch Do, Volume 2, which was really a lot of fun. So.
I don't understand what you're saying, Mick, but I'll post it. But I don't really understand what you're saying. The guy I ran into was arguing with a tree. I mean, he was evidently, I don't know what this tree did to him, but it wasn't good.
Maybe he was bushed.
Yeah, it wasn't good, whatever it was. But that tree was cowering. It was like, So what's your next? Go ahead.
Usually you can hear me arguing with my company iPhone.
Oh, I hate iPhones. I'm just
me too.
I'm an Android guy all the way. Always have been. Love it. And I still hold on. I've had this S22 for now, what is it? Now 3 years because I got the S25 out. And I won't give it up. I love this freaking phone, man.
I am the 24 right now. So
yeah. And I just won't give it up. Until they stop doing updates on it, then I'll look at something else. But they're not cheap. $1,200 for this phone in 2022. So what's your next project? What's the next thing you got coming up? I know you got conferences coming up. You're going to be busy with that.
Yeah, I just got added on as the moderator for the Bigfoot Town.
Nice.
Which is being run by the same folks that do the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. Well, I mean,
that's not the one I wanted.
That's right, Batmom. Window lickers, I love it. And that's going to be in a quick. And then the 2 weeks after that, I have the Great Pennsylvania Bigfoot Camping Adventure, and that's going to be at the Benner Meadows. And there'll be night hikes too, and I'll be speaking out there as well. On September 29th is the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival, and I will be speaking there, and I also MC the calling contest. Yep, and I've done that now for the last 5 years. And then afterwards, I'm going to take some of my YouTube followers. We're going to go out and do a little mini expedition over a few days up in the Adirondacks. And then the week after that is the New York Bigfoot Conference, where I'll be moderating. And the lineup there is going to be Dr. Meldrum, Jeff Meldrum, Dr. Esteban Sarmiento, Adam Davies, Renee Holland, Cliff Barrickman. So it's going to be quite a crew there. Hockey Hills has Cliff Barrickman coming as well, so I'll be seeing Cliff quite a bit.
I can tell you one of the nicest people I have ever met was Renee Holland.
Yes, she's very nice.
She unbelievably just a nice, sweet person.
She had a long conversation back, I want to say, in 2012 with my son, who at the time was in school for fish and wildlife management. And I'm wearing my underarm hat. But my son now is a New York State Forest Ranger. So I'll be glad to see when I see her. I said, remember you talked to my son 13 years ago? And you had a great conversation because he was in school for that. Well, now he's a New York State Forest Ranger, has been for 5 years. So she'll be really happy to hear that.
Yeah, I met her and I was on stage, and after we did our presentation, I was walking off stage and we were the first one. So we kind of opened for her. So as I'm walking off stage, she walks by me and she does one of those nice arm on shoulder, arm on arm type thing and says, I really liked what you had to say. I want to talk to you later. And that was so sweet of her.
There again, too, Finding Jay from Wisconsin. So, the best part of this time of year is I get to see all my friends again.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Esteban Sarmiento since the Ohio Bigfoot Conference back in 2011, so it'll be good to reconnect with him. Just a marvelous. It's going to be a marvelous season this year, and looking so forward to it. This week is going to be very busy for me. I got to finalize my presentations. I got a grill to put together. I'm having some appliances delivered too this week. So,
wow.
And I got to
Mine's
work.
been just medical things I've been dealing with lately. Just I had a heart issue, and that was bothering me. I already knew I had a heart condition. I've had it since I diagnosed it when I was in my 30s. At 35 years old, I had 2 stents already.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and but I really changed my diet and the way I was doing. I was feeling wonderful, and but then I started having issues, and I don't know what the problem was and stuff like that. So I was battling that. Then I got this bug bite. Whatever critter decided that I was a meal.
Yeah, you got to worry
definitely.
about that. Yeah.
And it put a hurting on me. That was a tough one, and it's it was right behind. I can't reach it, but I think it was affecting my heart as well. I think.
Well, my neck injury that I had from the auto accident, about a year and a half ago now, definitely had an impact on my physical well-being for a while. I ended up losing even more weight. I'm down to like 175 pounds now.
Oh, good for you.
No, not really. I was always better.
Not really?
About 185, 190. I was always a little more beefier, a little more muscular. But it really, it's been good today. It's been good for a few days, but every like once or twice every week, I'll be like, and it's something I have to live with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And
well, it's always a fear of me because I know I have that issue, and I've had it since I was, like I said, in my 30s. But I just look at it. I tell myself all the time is we're all going to kick the bucket at some point. I pretty much know what mine's going to be. You know what I mean?
Don't always assume that.
But I got up to 220 pounds, and now I'm down to 200. I want to get down to about 190. That's where I really want to be. And but I feel a lot better. I feel great. This past week on antibiotics, everything, I really feel good. I really feel good.
Well, yeah. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know this, but in 2007, I lost about 140 pounds.
Jesus.
Yeah, I got divorced. Divorced.
Yeah, I did that just recently myself. Which is why I put on all the weight, because she was a vegetarian. You know what I mean? And I was not. Life changed for me to eat that way. You see what I'm saying? And so when we got a divorce, we were married for 7 years, and when I got a divorce, I was eating burgers, and I was eating this, and I was tearing it up. And
you had an eating disorder, disorder of pizza, disorder of burger, disorder of fries, disorder of ice cream.
My new girlfriend was DoorDash. So.
But you cheated on her with Uber Eats
every day, But so I got up to 220. I was at 180, and then I got all the way up to 220 in a very short period of time.
Stressful to do that. Stressful to
yeah. And I started feeling it when I was in the woods. I started feeling it in my knees. I started feeling it in my lower back and stuff like that. But now I feel fantastic, and I encourage everybody to take care of yourselves. All I did was I cut out all carbs, no breads. Especially when I watched a documentary on our bread here in the United States. It's horrible. You need real bread, Italian bread. Go over there, whatever. But our bread sucks. And then I cut out all sugars. And what else did I do? Oh, and I strictly drink water. I drink a lot of water. So it's doing well. It's doing good. I won't see my fighting weight.
Usually I just stick to my bourbon.
I do like bourbon. I'm a Scotch guy, but I like bourbon.
But now, but Mick, I am very happily married now. So
good for you.
Have been for the last over 3 years now. So
Well, I think marriage is a great institution, and anybody who does it should be institutionalized.
That's right. What they say: engagement, promise ring, engagement ring, wedding ring, suffer ring. Anyway,
With the it's and me and my wife, we went back. I mean, we've been on and off again since we were 17 years old. So we finally, after all these years, finally tied the knot. And then that lasted 7 years. So we were due. We were due. So there was no hard feelings and stuff like that. I have no hard feelings towards her, and I'm sure she doesn't have any towards me. So we just moved on with our lives.
Well, my first wife, who I had my children with, we get along great.
I am a cheap date, Dirt Road. I am a cheap date.
My last wife, psychopath. Anyway, well, I don't want to go back to my frame of mind after that. That was pretty tough. So, but I've always kept a good public face through hard times and bad times and rough times. So, that's the one thing people never know. Steve seems to live this enchanted life, a very happy life. I've had my bumps, but I keep I keep my private life private.
Oh, I do. You'll be surprised how many people don't know anything about me. And a lot has to do with the profession I'm in, because I have to be very private. You know what I mean? Because if I'm not, then
Right.
I could be used as an access to get to my client. See what I'm saying? Or my family could be used as an access to get to me, to get to my
Right.
client. So I leave a lot of that very, very private. That's why I'm big on. That's why I just recently in February started a Facebook page for my research channel. I never did one for my research channel, but I had so many people friend requesting me on Facebook, and they don't understand. You're not going to see anything Bigfoot related on that page. Period. It's separate. That's a separate part of my life. See what I'm saying?
See, my Facebook's kind of integrated, but I do have an overflow fan page because I've constantly hit that 5,000 mark. I go down a little bit because I get rid of people, but then, where they drop off, and then I re-add more people. So I have that. I have a Squatch Squatch TV Facebook page. I have a Twitter page. I have an Instagram page. I have a TikTok account, which I play with occasionally. So, but my most success has been on YouTube. So,
well, dude, just subscribe to mine, and you can post all your shows on there. I don't care.
I think. Oh yeah, I will. Yep.
Yeah,
because I am subscribed, but
and I'm going to make this publicly announcement because it's in the rules, but people are not paying attention. I stick to strictly Bigfoot. Please don't put Dogman stuff on there, and please do not put any paranormal, UFO, anything like that. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to post a final warning, and I'm going to start deleting that stuff. But I will promote your podcast. If somebody out there has a podcast and you're a subscriber and you're a podcaster, I will help you out. If you want to put it on there, I'll do whatever it can to help you out. So I'm big on that. But
and I will help Richard make sure they are vetted to make sure they're a good YouTube channel or podcast.
Yeah.
We don't want Bigfoot's portal party.
Right. And because I got some on there that they're podcasts, so I want to promote them, but they do it all. It's not just Bigfoot. They do it all. So I have to take that in consideration when I approve their posts. But I have a lot of people that want to post stuff on there about the supernatural and this and this and this. And hush, Dirt Road, you know better. But I don't want that stuff on there. I'm very focused on what I believe and what I promote and stuff like that. So that's just me, But again, bottom line, it's my channel,
I've got so many of my YouTube friends coming up to Whitehall this year.
That's awesome.
It's gonna be so much fun. We are gonna have so much fun.
If you ever get a chance to come down here for the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference, it'd be great. It's the same group that puts the Gatlinburg together and the Bigfoot Cruise. It's called Gather Up Events. And the one here in Florida is the first one. It starts off the season. And then they'll go from there to, I don't know if the cruises, they're doing two cruises now, one out of Alaska and then one now out of Miami or Fort Lauderdale. But they do the Gatlinburg one too, which just happened, I believe. So, um, great. It's a great setup. It's amazing. They hold it at the World Equestrian Center, and it is just gorgeous, dude. Rolling hills of grass and white picket fences. The building is so big, they charge you 10 cents per minute to call across the
So
room.
it's held at the Equine Center, correct?
It's the World Equestrian Center.
Oh, swimming or
Horses.
horses? Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I was wondering because the VIP dinner had rolled oats as a main entree.
Well, and I'm gonna, and I'm like you. I say my piece, but I probably will not do another VIP dinner. I was not very happy with it, and it wasn't what I expected. So it was, but I will go stay at a hotel because everybody's staying at a hotel. All the speakers, all the guests, we all get together and meet down in the lobby for drinks and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. Um, but the big show is that Saturday. It's a 1 day event. We usually all spend a night that Saturday night and then all leave on Sunday, but we all get together somewhere for breakfast or dinner that Saturday night or whatever. A lot of groups are going out in the woods after the event Saturday night. I don't do that because
They actually call it the woods in Florida. I call it the jungle.
yeah, because it's in Ocala. The conference is in Ocala, and you have the Ocala National Forest there. But it's just too many people going out there at the same time. And it's just impossible to do any serious research when you got that many people with zero communication between you. Zero. So you got somebody a quarter mile down here knocking on a tree, and then somebody down here thinking they heard a knock and they're responding. Now they think they're getting a response, and it just never ends.
Do they have coconut trees in Florida?
We have palm trees that grow coconuts. They're not called coconut trees.
I'm afraid I'd knock on a tree and a coconut come flying down, hit me on the head.
Well, you won't see them out there. You won't. But we really the worst thing that we have to deal with here is the mosquitoes. It's so bad. It's so bad. Now I know why Ponce de Leon, tried to get the hell out of here. It's really bad.
Yep, that's right, Jen. We all got a good whoop at Steve's spot. I think there was 16 of us, to tell you the truth, but there may have been more. I don't know. Well, anyway, it's getting pretty close to 11 there, sir.
Yes, sir.
So any other questions? Yeah.
Anybody got a question? You better throw it now. Throw it at Steve right now. Yeah. And I said it at the very beginning. I posted, nothing's off limits. He will answer if you like it or not. Why you're doing that? I'm going to. I want to put this up here. I want to promote one of your books again, since that's the one I got. Now, you guys can find these books on Amazon. Tell them about that, Steve.
Yeah, if you go to squatchdetective.com, you can scroll down a little bit. You'll see the link, and it'll have all the books that I have available on Amazon.com, which is 50 large. What would Sasquatch do? Volume 1 now. The Sasquatch Playbook, The Psychology of Bigfoot, Bigfoot, A Scientific Investigation, The Squatch Detective's Guide to Field Investigation, and What Would Sasquatch Do? Volume 2. And all of them are very deep dive stuff into all kinds of aspects. I recommend that if you're a researcher, that Bigfoot, A Scientific Examination, The Psychology of Bigfoot, the What Would Sasquatch Do? Volume 2, and of course the Bigfoot Guide to Field Investigation is probably your textbooks to being a real solid Bigfoot researcher and investigator.
All I did was type in Steve Kulls. All the books showed up. And this is,
you can do that too, man.
This is Steve's show at Squatch Detective TV. And those of you who are not subscribed, I highly recommend it. Absolutely highly recommend it. And there's a good picture of Chris Bennett. What a wonderful guy. I definitely highly recommend subscribing.
I'll put my post in the chat there.
Yeah, I'm just a turd in this field. We just started. I'm making baby steps. I'm crawling on my knees. I prefer to be in the field, but once I did the podcasting, I really enjoy it. I have a lot of fun. I get to do the one thing I love to do is being in the woods. I love that regardless if I find Bigfoot or not. I love to be out there. That's where I recharge my batteries. I get my mind right. Good to go. Second thing I like to do, talk about Bigfoot. I get to do both of those things. So I'm very, very, very happy. So
thank you, Dirt Road Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's my
or
boy.
Maybe he was talking about you too, but whatever the case.
What did he say? Just a comment. I first saw your channel about a week ago. Enjoyed it. No, he's talking about you.
Okay.
Me and Dirt Road go back. We're good friends. We talk all the time, and
we try to have a little fun too. We take everything with a little bit of levity. That's why we do the Bigfoot vlogs now.
Oh, tell them about the bad Bigfoot movies.
Oh yeah. We
I love that.
If you scroll on some of our lives, we have the bad Bigfoot movies where Chris and I will comment on some of the worst Bigfoot movies you've ever seen, and then we can legally transmit on over YouTube. So, boy, there's some really bad ones there.
There was the one with the airplane, and the plane changed midair. It was a different aircraft. I was watching that one. I was like, oh my God. But you got to love it. You got to love it.
Wait a minute. Did that plane just change?
Yeah, I heard Chris go, did that plane? That's not the same plane. But then you're watching this provocative, sexy woman flying a plane and all this. But as soon as she lands, she dies. As soon as she lands, she gets killed. And I'm like, well, why did they even put her in the movie? What did the
No, she didn't die. She didn't die.
I thought
the Bigfoot's grabbed her.
Oh, okay.
Remember she got out of her jumpsuit?
Right.
She had like a bikini top on and everything like that. Like, what?
And all of a sudden he comes out of the woods immediately.
Here? Yeah. What are we watching here?
The plane hasn't even cooled down yet. Oh, here you go. Boop.
Absolutely. It's going to be a little bit busy for the next couple of weeks, but we could definitely pull something off for the beginning of September or the middle of September.
And don't take it personal if he doesn't respond right away.
I try to. Yeah, just hit me up on Facebook. Yeah, Steve started yelling us about Sasquatch Paul Revere.
Yeah.
Yeah. One knock if by sea, two if by land. Yeah, we've had a lot of fun in our channel. We try to have a little fun every once in a while. We do all this serious stuff. We do all this, unfortunate stuff a lot of times, taking down people and telling it for what it is. But then we always try to interject a little bit of humor somewhere along the line just to and Richard, it's fine if you want to give him my phone number too.
Okay. As long as I got your permission, because I won't without it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because my phone's, I've got so many people's numbers in here, and I always get with them first and say, hey, look, somebody's hit me up.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? But we have a lot of fun here. I enjoy this. I like to kid around. I like to do stupid stuff every once in a while.
Humor usually includes topics of food, poop, or music. So true.
That's wrong.
And two of the three of them are related.
That's so wrong. Do you play any instruments?
Me?
Yeah.
I used to play the clarinet, the French horn, and the bugle.
It's surprised me how many researchers I have met that have musical talents, that they either played in a band or they're in a band or.
I'm going to see if I can't find you something real quick. I think you'll enjoy this. Hang on, you'll enjoy this. Before you go, I'm going to shock you today. I don't know why that did that. That's why. Put it in the wrong. Let's see.
Even Cliff Barackman is a musician.
So we're gonna do something real quick. So let me do that. Let me do that since we're just. I mean, to me, Saturday. It's a Friday night. What the heck?
Oh,
We
yeah.
had time.
I'm
It's
not
like
work.
I'm not working tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Well, I don't work till 5 tomorrow. So now I just got to find the stupid thing. Try this again.
Nope. Until I get over this bite and I'm off the antibiotics, I'm going to stay out of the woods. You know, but and I'll be off of them on Monday.
So before we do that, and let me see if I can present.
Something just popped up. Should I add that to screen?
Go right ahead. So yes, I was a lead singer in a metal band.
Damn. You sure it was metal or was it punk?
It was metal.
Jesus, look at you. You never did have hair.
No. I've shaved it since 2000. So I'll send one more to you. Just to prove. Let's see. That is.
Oh, shoot. Uh-oh, we just lost him. What'd you do? Come back in real quick. Don't leave us hanging on a cliffhanger. It's another picture. There you are.
Yeah. I don't know
what happened. I was like, he left us on a cliffhanger. He's like, I'm going to show you one more thing. Bloop.
Closed out the. So there's the other one. This is the curtain call.
Wow. How heavy were you back then?
I was 215 back then.
Wow. Totally different. I just had it was really funny.
It's a shame I can't upload you an MP3. But it won't let me do that here. So.
Well, you definitely can do more on here than I can do. I'm learning, and I'm completely self-taught. There's so many things I need to learn on this thing. But I had one of my officers just passed away just recently, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was. He found out he had cancer, and within 90 days he was gone. That's how fast it happened. But his ex-wife had contacted me, and I learned a lot about him I didn't know. I didn't know he smoked weed with Willie Nelson. You know what I mean? Little things like that. You're like, he never said that. That would be a conversation starter, as far as I'm concerned. Matter of fact, put that in your resume. You know what I mean? But you just find out things about people that you just didn't know. You know what I mean? There's things about me people don't know. I'll give you a quick tidbit. I was a 1993 silver medalist on the Pan American Games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So if we're not objective to a little profanity, I can send you this one real quick. And I just got to find it. There it is. See if we get a sound on this one.
Let's find out.
Got to unclick. It's muted.
Is it?
You got to click the unmute.
I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find it. Oh,
just.
I can rewind it, but I see that it won't let me take it off of it.
Yep. So something's wrong with the video. Dang it. All right, never mind.
It has the the little microphone with a line across it, but it won't let me take the line off.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Hang on. I may be able to find. No, that's not it. I don't know what's going on here. Wow, all my sound is gone on these files.
Mick said he says my ex's mom smoked weed with Willie Nelson. Maybe what is her name? Because maybe she was married to my guy. Maybe they were married because he smoked weed with Willie Nelson. He was a DJ back in the day, and he was the first DJ for a rock and roll station in Miami. And overnight, they quickly switched to country. And she was telling me how he was having a rough time. He's trying to figure it out how to change his, because he was a rock and roller guy who DJ'd and changed it into country. Well, one of his first gigs was he had to introduce Willie Nelson on stage at a concert. And after the concert, Willie Nelson invited him and his wife at the time back to the trailer, and evidently they blazed.
Yeah. Let me see if I can't work a little bit. I am really good at working magic behind the scenes. You can.
Well, it's hard when you're trying to do it this way,
So let's just do that and just run it as that. That should be pretty easy, I think. Let's see how long it'll take.
This is the longest show we've had ever. We had one that was over. We had one that was over 3 hours, but this is pretty cool.
Beautiful. This will only take 54 seconds, 35, 30, 27.
Oh no, I'm fine. I'm just saying.
No. I'm talking about the. I'm working us up something we can play.
Okay.
So you understand better. We were just really. We actually had gotten a booking contract, and the day after we got the booking contract, the band broke up. We got an offer for a booking contract, and the booker was like, "Name your price. We want you guys."
Wow.
And the desktop. So
I met some famous people. All revolved around the sport I was involved in, and then when I came back from the U.S. team, I was obligated for 1 year with them to promote the sport, to promote the Olympics and stuff like that. And I was a part of Chuck Norris's Kick Drugs Out of America. Remember he had that?
Oh, nice.
promo?
Yeah.
So I got to meet him because we were there for that Kick Drugs Out of America. Then I did this thing called the Ed Lynch Sports Talk Show. And he was interviewing me on the sports talk show, and there's a window. How that window they can see out into the hallway from the studio.
Yep.
And there was this guy standing in a window, and I looked at him, but I didn't pay a lot of mind. But so when my show was over and he was coming in, it was Chong from Cheech and Chong.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yep.
Talk about a comedy tour.
I was never a pot smoker. Never, really did it. I've tried the vape when my neck was, because it's legal in New York. So once it became legal, when my neck was really bothering me before I went through the surgery, I did that to make me sleep a little bit better. But go ahead, throw that one up there. That should work now.
All right.
It's got no video.
Pushing daisies from my face.
Is that you singing?
Yeah.
Trapped in this goddamn place. Scratching, clawing, fingers numb. Locked inside this cold dang tub. Getting range, cannot breathe. Something's tugging at my sleeve. Sick and feeling in my skin. Rigor mortis setting in. Cannot sweat or shed a tear. Feels like I've been here for years. Insanity is taking hold. Buried in this fucking hole. Getting rain, cannot breathe. Nothing flows.
So you get the kind of idea.
Yeah. It was really funny. We were just talking about this guy tonight. I just got a message from Miguel from Sasquatch Theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miguel just messaged me.
Oh, what's he say? He wants to come on the
Oh,
show?
just no. I tried to reach out to him the other day, and he was like, "Hey, dude, I'm sorry. I got busy with other things and blah blah blah." So he was just apologizing. Things have been hectic. I said, no problem. It says, what does Mick say? Richard, my ex's mom is famous for her atomic meatloaf. Deadly for most, but not so much for Sasquatch. I will try any meatloaf. I'm just saying. I will try any meatloaf.
Well, anyway, I think we should kind of wrap.
Yes, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I appreciate you, dude. I am so
anytime.
thankful that you came on the show. And, dude, you're awesome, man. You're awesome.
Well, people got to see a little different side of me, too, a little bit tonight, which is kind of fun. So.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. We're human. I mean, we're not just Bigfooters. We have lives, and we've done things in our lives that we're proud of. Some we're not proud of, but we're human. So, but I'm so thankful, and I'm so glad that it worked out, and you were able to reschedule and come on, dude. Really.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was so angry at myself what happened last time. I was like, oh man, damn it! I was looking forward to being on the show. Frankly, that's why I was really looking forward. That's why I spent the time. Like, geez, it's almost been a 4-hour podcast.
Right.
And, so hopefully that way. So a lot of elements to it.
Oh yeah, you made up for it, and we had fun. We had fun.
Told you we would.
Yeah, I knew we would, and but I got to do this. I'm gonna do it one more time. It's only because I got to do it. I'm sorry before you go.
Yeah, there's this girl who moved in across the street, and she came over because she wanted to play. But don't worry, I got back in her.
What'd you do? What'd you do?
I whipped out my lizard.
I just had to.
Helton asked what was the name of the band. The band's name was Sinister Recall. And we used to. It's kind of funny thing. One of the gags we used to do is they used to put a coffin out on the floor right next to the stage, and it had a flashing strobe in it. And then when the show started, I came out of the coffin. I was hiding in the coffin the whole time. So it scared the hell out of everybody. All of a sudden, the door would kick open and be like, holy crap. And I'd come out singing. And we would start with a song called Below Above. And Pushing Daisies was the title track off our album. And we had a couple of slower songs as well. And guitar player was phenomenal. He was left-handed like Jimi Hendrix, played the guitar upside down like Jimi Hendrix did.
Right.
But just a phenomenal guitar player. Froggy was a topic of discussion.
You want me to tell you who's the greatest guitarist ever?
Who's that?
Roy Clark. If anybody does a deep dive on him, that guy did some amazing things with a guitar and a banjo, but a guitar.
Also is very good too. Was in fact Jimi Hendrix says, "What would you say to what would you say to the world's best guitar player?" And he turned around and said, "Well, I would tell Terry Kath." And Terry Kath was the original guitarist for Chicago.
Right.
And if you ever watched some of his stuff in the early 70s, it was phenomenal the way he worked that guitar. But Francis, he played Jimi Hendrix upside down too. But I know it doesn't mean I'm sound good, but I can do it.
All right. Well, let's cut this short because we'll just keep going. You know what I mean? So guys, thank you for being here. You guys have been awesome. We've had an amazing chat room. There were some people being a little negative, but as soon as I called them out, they stopped, and I was appreciative of that. Definitely check out Steve's podcast, Squatch DTV, Squatch Detective Television. And Also, check out his books on Amazon. Just type in Steve Kulls, you'll find them. I did. Um, and check out Johnny's research channel, which is Sasquatch Encounter Brigade. He also has a Facebook page with the same title. I also have Bigfoot Florida Guy. I also have a Facebook page with that as well. If you haven't subscribed to Sasquatch Unredacted, please do. We'd love the support, and we also have a Facebook page there that is growing rapidly. So we appreciate you guys. I really do. You guys are very important. I have to agree. Steve's got great people that are subscribers. We're growing, building. We love our subscribers as well. We do this for you. So God bless each and every one of you guys, and we will talk to you soon.